Good morning, and how is it going, everyone? Welcome to the second day of the Upgrade University Summit. It's really good to have you here today as well. The focus today is going to be on European universities, and it's really cool. We'll have people from Sciences Po, Bocconi, University of Jacobs University of Bremen, and Trinity College Dublin come and speak to you about their opportunities. And outside of that, we'll have a lot of master classes on all of the requirements that you have to do to get into a good EU university. To give you just a brief overview, European universities have incredibly good financial terms for people who are from the European Union, and they can rank very high. So it's a good option for education if you're thinking about staying somewhere in Europe after graduation. Today, we're going to start the session by talking a little bit about how COVID has impacted university life and university applications. And then towards the end, I'll take some questions if you have them. Like yesterday, I encourage everyone to put their questions in the chat, and then my colleagues will gather them and give them to me to answer. So the more you ask questions, the more we can tailor the content so it fits your needs. Talked about this yesterday, so I'll be more brief about myself today. But basically, I absolutely love my experience studying abroad. In middle school I used to do swimming, varsity swimming, and math Olympiads. I won a scholarship to come to a high school in Bucharest, and then I was part of the European Youth Parliament team from Romania, and that was like an incredible experience for me because it allowed me to see all of the students from all over Europe, like to get a taste of a diverse community of people from all around Europe that come together to talk about the future and about European unity and all sorts of things like that. So that environment, that very diverse environment, was very eye-opening to me, and I thought it's incredibly important to be in such an environment in order to open your mind and become a global citizen and grow as a person. So during that experience, I decided to apply abroad, and I applied everywhere in the UK and the US. I applied to top universities in the UK and the US. And for me, the application process was pretty daunting. I didn't know much about the schools. So for one, I applied to schools following rankings, which is a good way to do it. But also, I didn't know anything about what differentiates different schools. So that's something that we do at Upgrade with students. It's important to apply to a good university, but also to have a university that fits your needs. For example, I applied to St. Andrews, but for people who apply to law universities, if you go to Scotland, for example, Scotland universities prepare you just for Scottish law. So that those are like details that if you don't know, you can really apply to something that's not a good fit. So I applied everywhere. I got into the UK and the US, and I chose to go to Harvard because I really enjoyed the liberal arts program that they offer. So in a liberal arts program, you're not forced to study just one subject, but you can test, any subjects that you want out of the university, and then you get to focus on one or two of the fields that you most like towards the end of your studies. So, out of 32 courses that I had to take in 4 years, I ended up taking 12 to focus and to get my degree in mathematics. And then I took 8 classes, across a range of disciplines. And then the rest I could take any way I saw fit. So I used them to get a lot of exposure to Italian language and culture, and to experiment with philosophy and engineering and statistics and data science. So I like that about the flexibility, about the US curriculum. And I think what's really relevant for today's discussion is that European universities are starting more and more offering this liberal arts curriculum that I'm talking about, that used to be in the US, in Europe. So it's funny actually, because the liberal arts curriculum, I think, was invented at St. Andrews, and then it was adopted by US universities, and now it's most prevalent in the US, but it was actually invented in the UK. And now there are universities in Holland, like University of Amsterdam, Erasmus Rotterdam, there's Maastricht, there are other universities as well. There's like UCL, University College London in the UK, and many other schools that offer this liberal arts degree where you can study multiple things in the first year and then you get to focus on your desired field of study later on, which I think is an incredible solution for university studies, given that the world that we live in is changing very fast and people with a generalist set of skills that are very adaptable tend to perform better and better in these times that are ever changing. So that was a little bit of an aside about the liberal arts education. After Harvard, I worked in finance, and in 2017, I started Upgrade. So I started very small. I was just tutoring a few students. I used to invest a lot of time and energy in my relationship with those students. And the thing that really impressed me was that trying to teach, maybe SAT or other things required for the admission process, I was giving them books also on the side and like articles from the New York Times and things that I was reading. I was asking questions about how they see education and what they're passionate about. And so going a little bit beyond the actual teaching with the students allow them to open up and become more confident and become more independent learners. And so that was the change that really motivated me to take this project further. So now at Upgrade, we have a network of over 100 mentors. And when you work with Upgrade, we try to put you in touch with a mentor that really resembles who you want to be in a few years. So you have a sort of like model to aspire to, and that mentor will help you with the admission process, everything that's related to it, but also will be a friend that can help you with advice, with books, readings, and it's going to be someone you can ask questions from. So it can be someone you can like really look up to beyond the fact that he or she will be your teacher. So that's basically the magic that we try to accomplish at Upgrade. A little bit of housekeeping for today. Today's day focuses on Europe. Feel free to join the whole session. There's going to be a lot of value. I think it's really important for you to see all of the university presentations. I think in the end, the best way to choose your university is to visit or see a presentation and have a really good idea about the opportunities that they offer. Sometimes it's more difficult to get that idea if you just look for the university online. Sometimes you get a lot more information if you visit or watch a presentation. So make sure to catch all of those. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. I'm really looking forward to answering them, and the more questions we get, the more we can tailor what we talk about to your needs. And at the end of the day, if you're looking to find out more things, you can always schedule for a meeting with us. The button is below the screen, and so you can talk about specifically your case, and you can ask questions that are very specific to you and get our honest input. So feel free to take care of all of these opportunities. The summit agenda for today, we're going to start with this COVID impact and talk a little bit about how the university landscape has changed with COVID. Then we have a presentation from Sciences Po, which is an amazing university from France, especially for like social sciences and humanities. Then we have a workshop on how to choose the best universities for you in Europe. Then we have presentations from Trinity College in Ireland, very prestigious school, and Bocconi from Italy, an amazing school for business and economics. Finally, we have a personal statement masterclass to show you what to do and not to do when you write your personal statement for university. And finally, we have a presentation from Jacobs University Bremen. They also are inspired by the US model of being able to study multiple things. So for people who really like the liberal arts curriculum, you should give that a try. All right. So we start with the trends. Obviously, when COVID hit, everyone was very surprised, and universities reacted, I think, relatively well. Mostly they sent people home to stop the spread. And since they've developed a lot of teaching methods for the hybrid environment, I think, it was quite tough for people to adapt to those hybrid methods, and some universities adapted better than others. But finally now most universities are returning to hybrid or in-class teaching. So hopefully when you apply to university, your experience will be just as before the pandemic. So let's talk about a few things that have happened. So as I said before, the best way for you to understand if you're gonna fit with the university is to visit. I think it's something that, you know, is not very easily done, but if you can do it, it would be great. Because at the end of the day, you want to go to a good school. So I think like the ranking is important. You want to find a program that's really in line with what you want to do. So, you know, finding something that fits your academic interest is also incredibly important. But then at the same time, you want to go to a place where you feel good, you know, where you have a good time, where you like the culture, where you can make friends, where you can explore the landscape and are in line with the values of the country. So the better you feel, the more potential you can unlock for your university studies. So that's why visiting on campus is always a great idea. But unfortunately, during COVID, visiting has been put on pause. So make sure to check the university website if you're planning visits going forward. Some universities have opened up visiting days again, some others haven't. So it's good to check. A second factor that's very important is that people started applying in much bigger, greater numbers to universities that have a very strong brand. And it makes sense because with the uncertainty of whether teaching is going to be done on campus or not, you know, the value of your university studies has gone down because you don't have the live experience. So the branding has become the most important part of your university experience, which is why universities with big brands have retained and actually increased their number of applicants, whereas universities with less of a brand have seen their numbers plummet. Another reason for this increase in applications to top universities is that students who were admitted during the pandemic, some of them chose to defer their admission so they don't have to come on campus during these restrictions. And so now that the pandemic is relatively under control, a lot of these students that have deferred their admission are coming back to campus. So, you know, there are few open spaces for new applicants. So that has been a pretty strong trend. Now, when we think about universities in the US, a lot of universities obviously have made the SAT optional because it has become increasingly difficult to take the SAT. And so they didn't want to cause, you know, like risk or, you know, harm to students by putting them all together in a big room with a lot of other students. But still, when we look at the data, we can see that students actually submitted the SAT in greater numbers. So it's still a very valuable option. If you see the SAT has gone from 75% to 80%, and the ACT as well has grown from 40% to 43%. Another data point that we have is when we look at students that have been actually admitted to top universities like MIT, the percentage of students who are admitted that submitted the SAT is actually 93%. So even though 80% of students submitted the SAT overall, of the ones that were admitted, 93% had the SAT, which means that the SAT is still, you know, a big factor when you look at successful applications to the US. So if you can take the SAT, do it. You know, there are very few reasons not to take the SAT. Another reason why it's important to take it is that the SAT allows the admission committee to understand your academic talent on a global scale. So if they look at your GPA only or GPA and recommendations, it's going to be difficult to understand how you compare to people from other schools or from other countries or from other educational systems. Once you take the SAT, you can be compared to every student everywhere in the world because you're taking the same exam and you're graded on the same scale. So those are really good reasons for you to continue to take the SAT. Right. Let's look at other effects. So beyond these changes that I've mentioned thus far, namely the fact that top university admissions have become more competitive, and the SAT has become optional. There's obviously the fact that all your extracurricular activities have moved online or have stopped or have paused. We know this from a lot of students. Sports have been put on hold. Any sort of group activity like debating competitions or other things have moved online. Olympiads and other contests either have moved online or have been put on pause. So there has been this realignment with all of the extracurricular activities, which obviously mean a lot to the admission committees around the world for all universities. So the question here is, how should you adapt to these new conditions? And so one thing you can do is show that you're adaptable. So no one is ever going to judge you for not being able to do something that can't be done anymore, right? So the fact that you cannot, participate in live events anymore, no one's going to hold that against you. But what people will try to see, and what universities will actually look at, is how well you've taken this scenario and adapted to it. So say you were doing like math Olympiads in the past and now you can't do them anymore. A cool thing, could have been for you to organize it as or simulate a sort of contest or like Olympiad online, and try to see if you can find tools to make it secure, to make sure there's no cheating, to maintain the integrity, that sort of stuff. And maybe try to propose that to the body that administers that contest, and maybe help them move it from a live location to online. So that's an adaptable response. Other examples that you can see here have been done by our students. One of our students, for example, that was passionate about journalism, created an online magazine, ReadMe. This is really cool because it tackles how it's a platform for whistleblowing in the Romanian educational environment. It's basically, if you see something that's happening in schools that's not okay, you can either write yourself a story or you can be interviewed by the ReadMe team and have your story told so people know about these things. This helps the victims, it helps relatability, and I think it helps drive change in the Romanian education system and improvements. So that was a really cool project, and it's done completely online. You can take interviews online. The magazine is online. It's being promoted on Instagram and other online venues. So there's so much cool stuff that you can do. The second one is the Apollo Society, which is, a community that's organized around blogs and websites and YouTube channel about students where they can share knowledge. So still everyone can contribute from their computer and everything has been moved online. So a lot of the time when we talk about these extracurricular activities and this adaptability with COVID and what you can do now that you can't do the activities that you used to do, people ask, okay, how do I adapt? What do I do? I think the key aspect here is to be proactive and to think about the things that you want to be better in society or in your community, and then try to enforce them in a creative way, right? So that's basically how these projects came to be, right? For example, the student was looking around and saw difficult things going on in the education space that needed, to be told, or people that needed a voice. And so she felt that this has to happen. These people need that. So obviously the solution to come up with ReadMe magazine starts from that. A lot of our students, that's why I'm trying to tell you this, because a lot of our students, when we coach them, they keep asking, like, what should I do? Can I have more examples of projects and so on? And the thing is not to, it's never a good idea to just think of something to do that's positive, to think the project itself, you have to start with the problem that you want to solve. So you don't start with the solution. It's not like you sit at the desk and think, I'm going to make this conference about this and that. You have to sit at your desk and think, what is something that bothers me that I see around me, right? What is the problem that I can solve? What is an issue with society that I think I can do something about? And once you have that, then it's much easier to design a solution because you know what you're trying to solve, right? If you're trying to solve, equality in the education system, you know, this magazine could be a thing if you like to write, or you can do a conference where you bring people to tell their stories if you're just more of a talker or an organizer. So it's always good to start with the problem and then brainstorm solutions with your friends and then go to implementation. So that's basically how to think about your extracurricular development in COVID. So knowing these factors, there's a bunch of questions that you should think about next. So if you're watching this, you're definitely considering applying to a top university. You have to think about why you want to attend a top university. Very often, we see students who want to do this because it's something that sets them apart, because it's an achievement. But the more concrete your motivation, the more chance of success you will have in this process. So you have to have good reasons, try to research programs, so you fall in love with the degree itself, or try to research professors. So you actually, are motivated by working with those people and, their life story and their passion for the subject. Or think about clubs, or try to look at videos. It's all about trying to create a very meaningful, very concrete relationship with the university. For me, at least, the reason to go to a top university has had to do with the people, right? If you're surrounded, a really good university naturally attracts very talented people. And if you're surrounded by talented, driven people, then you will yourself, grow to the maximum possible level during your university time, which is something that if you're an ambitious person, you would love to do. So that was what determined me to go and study at a good school. So once you have these good reasons, those will be a source of motivation for you. No one can ever do something difficult if they're not motivated. So that's why it's important to have that. Once you're motivated to go to a top university and know, if you're asked, you know exactly why you want to do that, then it's important to understand the admission process. Because, for example, universities in the US require you to have a very developed extracurricular profile, whereas universities in the UK or Europe require you to be very well prepared academically for the field that you want to study. So if you know what the admission process entails, then you can strategize on how to develop so that you can get into the university that you want to attend, right? So it's important to do your research, attend seminars like these ones. You can even schedule your free, consultation with us, and we can tell you more about the process. So now that you have good motivation and know exactly what it is that you want to do, you have to gather support. You have to talk to your parents about finances, about their willingness to allow you to go abroad for university. You have to talk to your teachers, get their question, get their answer to the question of whether it's a good idea. Gather their support, gather more support. You can always work with us to increase your chances of admission. So get yourself all the support that you need to be successful, and then just start on the journey. I think that's what you should do if you're thinking about that. For me, going abroad was probably the most important experience of my life. So if we think about how we can help you, I can talk to you a little bit about how working with Upgrade happens. So you basically have a discussion with one of our strategists, with myself or Adi, who graduated from Oxford. So you talk with someone who's been a graduate of a top university, and in the first session we try to learn as much as possible about you, what you like in school, what subjects you're good at, what subjects you're not as good at, what you've done extracurricularly, what you love to do outside of school. So we want to know everything about yourself, so that we can put together a list of like schools and opportunities that could fit you, given where you are and what you like to do. Look, there's these schools in these countries that are interesting. Then we help you try to decide between all of the options, right? We talk about financing and answer all of the questions about how much it costs to go there, how you can finance your studies, are you allowed to work there, are you allowed to get a scholarship, you know? We talk about all of these questions, so it's very clear for you what university is the best fit from all of the reasons that you can think of. So once you have this target, then we put together a plan for you to reach this target that you've decided on, given your strengths and weaknesses. So if you're unsure yet about what you want to study, you can have a career orientation program where we can tell you how you can match your strengths and weaknesses to degrees and careers that will be valuable in the future, so that you can choose the university program more, more correctly. Then we can help you develop academic knowledge in that field. So if you want to study psychology, you can work with someone like Francesca, who's studied psychology, who can help you write a research paper in psychology, which will boost your chances of admission and will help you do better in university once you start. Then we can help you develop your extracurricular profile. So if you remember the README magazine and all of those projects, those have been developed in the extracurricular development program. Then if you need to take any exams like the SAT or the ACT or the MAT or any exam that you need for admission, we can have one-on-one prep for your exams so that you can, get the best score possible. And then finally, we have this one-on-one mentorship for the admission process, where you work with the graduate of the school that you're applying to in the field that you want to study, to develop your personal statement, to get your recommendations, to prepare for interviews, for exams, and for anything that's related to the admission process. So basically, working with us is a 2+ year process where you work with mentors who are exactly where you want to be in the future, who have this teaching responsibility, but also who are your friends and will be there next to you for the whole duration of the studies. Right, so what happens next is, if you want to get in touch with us, you will receive an email from Andrada, who's graduated from UVA. You can see the picture of her graduation right there. And then she'll schedule an initial meeting with Adi. Adi is one of our mentors. He graduated from Oxford, and he did a PhD in mathematics at Okinawa in Japan. So he has a lot of international experience. Both of them will try to understand your situation and answer all of the questions that you have, and then we'll prepare the program that we think would help you achieve your dreams. So that's basically what would happen if you sign up if you want to go ahead, sign up for a free consultation. There's a button for that right below the screen that you're watching. And then there's Q&A time. Q&A time. Let's see. From Bianca, is the SAT as important in the EU as it is in the US? No, the SAT is only required in the US. In Europe, there are only some universities that require the SAT, and for those it's really important. So Bocconi, which you will see today, requires the SAT. Jacobs University Bremen, which is an American university, like a miracle-inspired university, also requires the SAT. So for those, it's really important. But for other universities, like in the Netherlands or Trinity College Dublin or anything else in the Finland, Norway, and so on, or Sciences Po, it's not required. So the SAT is only important if it's required by the university. And the SAT, someone asked what it is. It's a test that you can take in English and math. That is given by the College Board, an American institution. You can look up more at collegeboard.org. Okay, so those are a few questions. I'll have more time to answer questions in the Q&A. Thanks for tuning in for the second day of the summit, and enjoy the cool materials that we have for you following my presentation. See you soon. Bye.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this presentation on Sunday morning. So my name is Pauline Couteau. I'm International Affairs Manager and I'm presenting Sciences Po. So what is Sciences Po? Sciences Po is France's leading university in social sciences. So we are not a comprehensive university, but a university specialized in social sciences. We are this year celebrating our anniversary, 150 years. We have now 14,000 students and 7 campuses in France. We're proud to be regional studies just after Harvard. We offer one unique bachelor degree located in 7 campuses in France and 7 graduate school and 5 PhD programs in Paris. As an international university, we have 480 partners located all around the world, and almost half of our students are international students coming from 150 different countries and nationalities. We also have more than 50 dual degree programs and 9 new dual degree programs at the bachelor level. I will present all these opportunities in a second. One unique bachelor degree, a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences. It's a comprehensive and progressive curriculum. What does it mean? It means that the first year is mandatory. You don't have to choose any discipline. It's a core curriculum in social sciences with 6 fundamental disciplines. So all the students have to study economics, humanities, history, law, political science, and sociology. At the end of their first year, they will choose one major, but again, majors are multidisciplinary in social sciences. So students have to choose between economy and society, which means economics and sociology, or political humanities. The 2 main disciplines are history and political theory or political philosophy. And the third one is politics and governments. So the 2 disciplines are political sciences and law. The third year is compulsory abroad in one of our 480 partner universities. So students will study abroad for 1 year. Another thing which is quite distinctive is our civic learning program. So from the first year until the third year, students have to engage in a social service or social work or personal engagement. It could be for the elderly, for the inequalities, or again, for environmental issues. So one unique bachelor degree, but 7 different campuses. So the admission procedure, as I will explain a bit later, is the same. The core curriculum is the same everywhere, but of course there are some differences. So 80% of the curriculum is entirely the same, but 20% is different. So I will start from the western part of France in Le Havre. The focus in Le Havre is on the Europe and Asia relations. The program is taught fully in English, and you will have also the possibility to learn Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. Students in every campus, 50% of our students are international students and 50% are students coming from the French baccalaureate. So in Le Havre, let's say that 30% of the international students are coming from Asia and 20% from Europe, North America, or everywhere. But the main point is that they have an interest for the relation between Europe and Asia. Now let's go back to the French Riviera in Menton, so in the southern part of France. The Menton campus offers 1 French track and 1 English track, and the focus is on the Middle East and Mediterranean area. For the French track, you need to have at least a B2 C1 in French, and for the English track, a 6.5 or 7 at the IELTS. Let's go back in the western part of France in Poitiers. The focus is on the Latin America program. You need the main language is French, but it's a trilingual program, so you need to have a good level in French, so a B2 minimum. To be a beginner in Spanish, at least, because during your second year courses will be taught fully in Spanish, and to know English, of course. In Nancy, it's the same. It's a trilingual program. It's a European campus, and the focus is on the relation, on the construction of the European Union, and on the relation between French and Germany. That's why you need to be a beginner also in German, and it's a trilingual campus, so French, German, and English. The other European program is located in Dijon. I'm the associate director, so I would say it's the best campus, but all the campuses are very amazing, as you will see. But in Dijon, so the focus is on the Central and Eastern Europe, so the EU and the Eastern neighborhood. The relation between the EU and, of course, Russia, Ukraine, Central Asia, Turkey, and so on. The main language is French, but of course, courses are taught in English too. You can apply with A2 level minimum in French, and during the first semester, courses will be taught fully in English, and you will also have French language intensive courses. In Dijon, you can learn or continue to learn European languages, and students coming from France also learn Romanian language. But the European languages that you can learn or continue to learn in Dijon are Italian, Spanish, German, Czech, Hungarian, Polish, Russian, and Romanian also. Reims is the main undergraduate program with two programs. So the first one is the Euro North American. It's taught fully in English, and it's completely, let's say, globalized. You will also learn languages, but it's not the main issue or the main focus in Reims. And the other one is the Europe African program. It's a bilingual program, so you need to have a B2 in French and a B2 in English, and you will also have the possibility to learn Portuguese, Arabic, or Swahili. So no matter what is your campus, the third year is compulsory abroad, and you can go everywhere, no matter where you will spend the 2 first years. Another possibility I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation are the dual degree programs. So we have 9 dual degree programs at the undergraduate level. So the 2 first years are at Sciences Po, and the 2 following years in the partner university, and the 2 first years are located in different campuses depending on the dual degree program. You really have to carefully look on our website because the deadlines and the admission procedures are different depending on the dual degree. So basically in North America, we have 3 main dual degrees. So one with UBC in Vancouver, another one with UC Berkeley, and last but not least, which used to be our first dual degree at the undergraduate level, is with Columbia University in New York. With Columbia, you can choose between 80 different majors, starting from social sciences to astrophysics. So you can receive a bachelor degree in social sciences from Sciences Po and another one in astrophysics, if you wish, from Columbia Universities. Sciences Po is very, very selective. And of course, the dual degrees are even more selective. It's a joint selection. Moreover, it's an important fact to take into account is that for Columbia University, it's much more expensive. You have to count $80,000 per year, housing included. In Europe, we have 2 main programs. One with UCL, you will major in one European language, and then during your 2 years at UCL, you will also specialize in discipline from social sciences. The other one is with the Freie Universität in Berlin. You will spend the 2 first years in Nancy and the 2 following years in Berlin. In Asia, we have Asia and Pacific, we have 4 degrees. So one with HKU, University of Hong Kong, the other one with the National University of Singapore, in Australia with Sydney, and in Tokyo with Keio University. So the 2 first years will be in the Le Havre campus. You will specialize, of course, in Japanese language and economics. So again, Sciences Po is very selective, but once you get in Sciences Po during the first years, you will be automatically admitted to a master degree of your choice in Paris. So there are no further selections for the graduate studies once you enter Sciences Po during your first years. Of course, you can apply only for the master programs in Paris. So we have 7 schools: the School of Public Affairs, the School of International Affairs, which is taught entirely in English. You can specialize in international security, environmental policy, international energy, governance, and so on. So the offer is quite huge. A School of Management and Innovation, the Law School, the Urban School, the School of Research, to do your PhD, and the School of Journalism, which is taught mostly in French. So 28 master programs and more than 40 dual degrees. The one-year master programs are only dedicated for young professionals. We also offer summer school, so I invite you to check on our website. It's located in Paris and in Reims, and it will be in June and July. For the undergraduate program, the application is assessed in in 2 stages, but 4 parts. One is based only it's a quantitative evaluation of your secondary school. The second is a qualitative evaluation of your grades. The third one is composed by your personal essays, motivation, extracurricular activities, and personal essay. And if you reach out a minimum number of points, we will invite you to a remote interview. Tuition fees for students whose tax residence is within the European Economic Area. So for the Romanian students, tuition fees are calculated regarding your family's income and the household size. So it could be completely free, or the maximum is 13,000 euro, and it can range from 500 euro or 2,000 euro. On our website, there is a calculator or simulator, so you can put the annual income and the number of personal charge, and it will give you an idea of what you have to pay or not. If you don't pay, Sciences Po can also offer you a scholarship. So Sciences Po is quite famous for the head of state or government. A French president graduated from Sciences Po, but also, as you can see on this slide, we have very famous alumni such as Simone Weil, Marcel Proust, or Christian Dior. So with Sciences Po, you can do what you want. So here you can see my contact, Pauline Couteau. We are, of course, on all the social networks. And I would like to thank you for your attention. I can see that there is one question. I will stop to share my screen. We do offer courses on international law and human rights within our Paris School of International Affairs. So the master degrees are very specialized, but the School of International Affairs offer one degree in human rights and humanitarian action. Thank you very much for listening to me this morning. I hope it was very useful. And I wish you a very pleasant day.
Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to this masterclass. If you are currently looking into EU universities and you don't know what to choose from, you are in the right place. So today we are gonna look at some general criteria you should take into account in order to make an informed choice and choose the university of your dreams. But before starting, let me introduce myself a little bit. I'm Francesca, I'm 27 years old. I studied international relations and sociology at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland, and afterwards I decided to continue my studies into internet development studies at UVA. And there I had the chance to conduct my research in northern France, in Calais, and I also managed to volunteer for an NGO organization. Upon graduation, I also went to a year of volunteering for the Red Cross in Portugal, and afterwards I led it here at Upgrade Education. I'm currently the Coach Me EU and ECL coordinator at Upgrade. So let's check our agenda for today. So as I said, we are gonna look into some general criteria for choosing EU universities, but first we will also see what we know about EU universities. Then we'll look into some academic criteria you should take into consideration. We're going to go through some rankings and explore some EU degree structure and flexibility. But afterwards, we will look also into some non-academic factors you should take into consideration. We are going to look at some finances, but also the social and cultural aspects you should take into consideration when choosing your university programs. And then we are going to explore some exchange programs and partnership opportunities that university offer. Finally, we will look into the application requirements because they vary across different programs. And then we're gonna see what we can do to help you apply for your dream university. And finally, of course, we are gonna allocate some time for the Q&A section. So don't hesitate to drop your questions starting from now. So before starting, grab your water, because it's going to be a long journey, but an interesting one, okay? So let's start. So what do we know about EU universities? As you can see, there are more than 3,300 higher education establishments in the EU. More than 17 million people are attending the EU establishments, out of which 60% are in their bachelor programs. And according to some research we've done, business administration and law are the most popular subjects. So what is your favorite subject? You can drop it in the chat. As we know, European universities have diverse programs that cater to different needs, can be social, intellectual needs. So when you do your research, reflect on what you want to study and what you want from your university experience. Do a very extensive research because you are going to choose a program you're going to attend for 3 to 4 years. So you want to make sure that you like it and you enjoy it. The university years are the best of your life. Let me tell you, I've attended several EU universities. And finally, maybe make a pros and cons list and compare similar programs. So let's start with some academic criteria you need to consider. So when you look at the rankings for universities, you can check the world rankings, and these are the top 5 universities in the EU. We check the QS university rankings. You can also check it on your own, and you can see that there are diverse universities. We have Utrecht University, University of Amsterdam, KU Leuven, Technical University of Munich, and University of Groningen. But then you can also look into the rankings in terms of subjects. So if you are passionate, for example, about computer science, go and check the rankings according to the subject. And these are the top 5 universities. We can see again that there are from different countries, from the Netherlands, from Sweden, etc. And then you can also check business and management one, for example. And we have one of the top universities in the world. We have Bocconi University at the forefront, and that ranks also top 7 in the world. So as you can see, there are really, really good programs in the EU as well, not only in, and you don't have to look far in order to look for really great programs. But yeah, these are some examples, but if you want to check more into detail about other subjects, don't hesitate to do your own research or contact us as well, and we can help you with that. But besides the rankings, you also need to think about what you want from your university. What do you want, a more academic or a practical program? Research universities normally offer broader subjects, and then they are more academic and research focused. So you can study broad subjects like maths, physics, economics, but also professional ones like architecture. You can study medicine, for example. But then maybe you want more specific programs, like, for example, the ones in business schools, and you are going to do more focused programs based on more specific management courses. And afterwards, we have University of Applied Sciences. The Netherlands has many such universities, and the difference is that they are more practical and more professionally focused. So you might study programs such as nursing or sports management. So really look into this and ask yourself what you want from your university program. As you do your own research, you might notice that some programs are more competitive than others. And by competitiveness, I mean that the application process is more difficult or less difficult according to the programs. So you will have numerus fixus programs that have a limited number of students that will be accepted into the program, so they are more selective. And then there are selective programs that have an extensive admission process, but they don't put a limit on the number of students that can be accepted into the program. And finally, we have regular programs that don't have such a difficult admission process, but be aware that the first year is the one that is detrimental for you continuing your education there. So really look also into that. Then, last but not the least, in our list of academic criteria that you need to take into account is the degree structure and the flexibility. So you perhaps, for example, you want to study politics at UVA, and you will take a political science, which is a more general course. But maybe you want a more specific and niche program, so you might go into international politics and governments at Bocconi. So this can vary, and you need to look into it. Or maybe you want a more interdisciplinary one, and you can study PPE at Utrecht University or PPLE at UVA that offer more challenging and diverse program. But then maybe you are one of a kind that really wants even more flexibility than that. So you can also look into liberal arts programs. The Netherlands offers more than 10 liberal arts programs. They are very good, and they follow the US model. And this means that you will have some core subjects you need to take. Then you can take some electives to find your path. So maybe you are interested in maths and business. So you can take both and then decide which one to major with. So some example of really good liberal arts programs can be Amsterdam University College, Utrecht University College, Erasmus University College, and you name it. So really consider these factors. Okay, so now we can look into some more non-academic factors that are also equally important to make an informed decision. Because again, as I said, you're going to spend 3 years of your life or 4 years of your life at university, and you want to look into every single one of them. In terms of finances, public universities have their tuition fees goes from 0 to 3,000 euros maximum, with Sweden, Denmark, as well as Finland, tuition free. So you might look into that as well. And here we also offered you some living costs. So they can rent from 7,000 to 5,000 euros. But that depends very much on your lifestyle, of course. Private universities are a bit more expensive. Their tuition fee ranges from 10 to 20,000 euros. But so, for example, Bocconi and I in Spain have different the higher tuition fees. So after checking the tuition fees and the costs involved for each university you are interested in, you might also look into some options for financing. In general, European universities don't offer as many scholarships as you could find, for example, in the EU. But normally you can find scholarships that are merit-based and need-based at private universities. For example, Bocconi offers 50% or 100% of their tuition fee. Then you perhaps want to study at École Polytechnique, and they also offer really consistent merit-based and merit and need-based scholarships. You can find also in Italy, there is the right to education, even public university. You have the scholarship of the right to education, and you will be assessed on merit and need-based criteria. And then you can receive also scholarship for covering your living costs as well as your tuition fee. But then some countries don't offer scholarships. In the Netherlands, for example, with the exception of the liberal arts programs that are a bit more expensive, there is the government loan offered by Duo, and you can apply for it and receive some financial aid for covering your tuition fees and your living costs. Or you have grants, for example, in Ireland, SUSI, which is the agency that is offering and financing education in Ireland, offers really consistent grants that you don't have to pay back. Okay, so besides the finances, ask yourself, do you resonate with the culture you are going to live in, of the country you are targeting? What's the percentage of international people that are attending that particular university? Or what's the percentage of people living in that specific country? For example, the Netherlands has 80% of international students living in there and studying at their universities. Then you can also think about, do you want to live in a town or in a bigger city? This is important as well. Or what kind of societies or clubs does the university offer? And finally, the accommodation. Can you live in residence halls, or do you have to look for accommodation on your own? This is very important because accommodation is really tricky to find, so you need to also look into these options as well. But your journey doesn't stop once you are enrolled at that university, because as I mentioned before in our agenda, university also offer exchange opportunities and partnerships. For example, if you want to study 1 year abroad at a partner university, you can do that, and then you will earn the necessary credits to go back to your home university and finish your education there. But perhaps you want to study a bit less in a country, and you can stay a bit less in the country. So maybe you can opt for an Erasmus program, and you can participate in this program and study abroad from 3 to 12 months. So this is another option. You will also earn the credits in order to graduate, and you can come back to your home university and finishing your education. For example, I also studied I did an exchange year at Lapland University in Finland during my Erasmus year, and it was the best time ever. And I got to see also another system of education, and also, of course, enlarge my network of international friends. And finally, you can check dual programs as well. As SciencePo mentioned before, there are dual programs in partnership with other universities where you get to spend 2 years at your home university and then 2 years elsewhere and graduate and receive a degree from both. As well, I have, for example, a student of mine that was recently accepted for the dual degree program at SciencePo and Columbia University. She also got 50% scholarship. So there are really these opportunities. So really start to research in time and don't forget that you can make it, if you prepare in time. Finally, we have the application requirements. So as you research into these universities, you might realize that the application requirements vary from one university to another, but you don't have to feel discouraged when you see all these elements, because if you start in time, it's gonna be fine. So really make a list of requirements for universities and really start planning ahead. So let's check each of them individually. We have, for example, when it comes to diplomas and transcripts, really check if your diploma can be accepted at that particular university. Or maybe some university have some subject requirements. For example, you need maths for psychology programs in the Netherlands, or you might need maths for economics. So check if you comply to that requirement. Then some universities are a bit more strict on the CV or on the portfolio they require from you. So really check what you need and then start planning ahead, get those extracurricular activities needed, or create your amazing portfolio for your dream architecture program at Politecnico di Milano, for example, or at IE. Then some university again might ask you to send more than one motivation letter. So you really need to plan ahead and see if you can meet the deadline and write in time all those motivation letters. You might be requested to ask for a recommendation letter to a professor, or you need to write it on your own. And finally, you might need to prepare for the SAT for Bocconi or the IMAT to apply for medical programs in Italy, and so on and so forth. So after all this, really what I advise you is to take your time and reflect on these different academic and non-academic criteria we have explored together. Really, it's a process that doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun. You can really look at different videos that are online on the website. You can ask at different students studying there. Really get that really nice information that could help you have your research very nicely done. And finally, start preparing early. The earlier, the better, because universities, as we mentioned before, can be very competitive because we have really good programs and everybody wants to go there. And finally, what matters the most, besides these criteria, is what you really want. And really follow your heart, follow what you really want intellectually, socially, and culturally from those universities. After all this, I want to explain a bit how we can help you in this endeavor. So when you come to Upgrade Education, you will be able to meet with a strategist that will help you assess your application based also on the programs you are interested in and see what you need. Then, if you're not very sure about it, you can take a career counseling course and see with your mentor what kind of path you want to follow for your university program, for university education. Then the strategies will make you a personalized program based on the requirements for the applications you have chosen, and we will get you from 0 to 100% in a matter of few months. Then you will have your own mentor you will work with. Here you can see different mentors. We have 6 different mentors here, and you might work with one of them, who knows. And finally, if you need, you can also prep with us for exams and interviews that you might have. So what happens next? You will receive an email from Andrada in which you will schedule a meeting with her. You can talk to one of our mentors, and then finally you can become one of our Upgrade Education students. So now we have the Q&A time. Andrada will send me your questions. Okay, so let's start. Okay, hi Christina, you're interested by a law program. You have to know that law programs in English are more focused on international law, for example, and you have really good programs at Maastricht University. You might also take a Maastricht University in the Netherlands in general. And then you can also check for more specific programs. You can also contact one of our mentors and you can delve deep into them with him or with her. So let's check another. I'm interested in studying medicine. What are the best choices? Danai. Hi, Danai. So in Europe, there are different medicines programs. So there is in Ireland, for example, there are really good programs at Dublin and Trinity University and Trinity College. So so you should check into them. As I said, there are also really good scholarship offered. They're really good study grants, so you can look into that and explore their website. You have also really good programs in English at Italian universities. There are public universities, such as, for example, Pavia and Padua University, Milan University as well. Or you also have private ones, such as Sacro Cuore in Rome, etc., and so on and so forth. So you can dig into them. You also have Vito Raffaele. So these are the programs, but you also have really good ones at Maastricht University as well as Groningen. So check into them. You also have Charles University in Prague, for example. Okay, next question. Is the scholarship obtained based on our average in high school or based on our baccalaureate grade? It's based on the overall merit. So normally they check into what you obtain into your high school, so your high school average, as well as what you obtain in your final exam in the baccalaureate. And then they also check your financial needs. So this is important. Okay, Dana is asking again what exactly is a motivation letter is. So a motivation letter is basically an essay where you state why you want to study at that particular program, what you have done in order to choose your subject, what are your passions, but in particular why you choose that program over another one. So you really need to motivate and back up your motivations with concrete examples from your experience as well as from your academic readings. And this, if you really don't feel confident about it, we surely can help you do that. Andrea R, how long before applying do I have to document myself about university? Is it too early or too late if I start documenting if I am in the 10th grade? As I said, the earlier the better, because if you aim at really top universities with challenging admission process, the earlier you start, the better, because maybe you don't have enough activities in your CV, so you can start doing them. Or maybe you need to write multiple motivation letters. For example, Sciences Po has 3 different motivation assignments, as well as École Polytechnique. So you really need to start ahead. Okay, let me see. Danai, how can I start making my portfolio? So first of all, you need to check, as I said, you need to check the programs, and you need to know, you said that you like medicine, so you need to start thinking about what you need in order to succeed in your application. So some programs like Charles University or Maastricht, they require a CV from you. So you can check what experiences related to medicine you have done. So perhaps you can look into volunteering for the Red Cross or shadowing with a medical practitioner. So really think about this, and then maybe you have enough experience on that side, but you don't have academic reading, so you can check into those and start and planning ahead. Okay, anything to keep in mind when applying for economics and business? Just said, well, economics and business programs are really focused on really want from you leadership skills. For example, Bocconi really looks into your extracurricular experiences, and they check whether you have had those leadership experiences that can help you succeed in such field. For example, you might have organized a competition or a conference, and this really shows that you get involved into your community and you want to make a change in the world as well. So these will be really good transferable skills you can apply also into the program. And also, as well, you need to dig in a bit into the academic part of the program. So what is business? What is economics? What kind of subfields are out there? So you need to be aware of it in order to be able to motivate your choice, not only for yourself, but also for the university. What are the top universities for architecture? Top one, Politecnico di Milano, and you need to prepare for a really hardcore test. But the university has really great program. But there are also other universities, for example, Cardinal Herrera in Spain. You also have La Salle in Barcelona for architecture. You have the IE University for architecture. What else on top of my mind? Kind of, these are the top choices. Basically, you can take. There are really good programs. And this was from Ale. Sorry, I didn't mention your name. Bianca, would you recommend public university as opposed to the private ones? I can totally say that I've studied in public universities, for example. And they have really good programs. You can see that, for example, UVA, where I studied, is one of the top universities, and they all offer really good programs. The only difference that you have to pay for higher tuition fees. So this is something that you really need to look into. So this can be like a detrimental factor for you to choose between private or public. But overall, there is not much difference. It's just that you really need to look into the program, whether you like more the program at Bocconi, for example, or at Erasmus University for business and management, for example. So I hope I answered your question. Christina, does the high school graduation profile matter for admission to a certain extent, I guess? So yes, it does. Like the profile, it does matter, but it depends on where you apply. Because, for example, if you want to apply to a computer science degree, certainly if you have studied more social sciences, this won't help you succeed in the program. So these matter depending on the subject. And it matters also as well if you have those kind of subjects that are required by the program. For example, if you want to study biomedicine, certainly you need to have biology, physics, and maths done in order to participate in the program. So yes, it matters towards an extent. You really need to verify the requirements because they vary according to universities. Alexandra, I'm interested in studying medicine in Germany or any country that requires German language. What are one of your top picks? we normally work with English-based programs, so we're really not much acquainted about that. So you can look into it and search it, because really we really help students get into English taught programs. Let's see what else. What are top universities for aerospace engineering? You have Gabriela. The top pick are Delft University. You also have Eindhoven Institute of Technology, for example, that are the top picks for aerospace engineering. They have really good programs. And then, yeah, you should check into it. There are numerous Fixus programs. Christina, that's the high school. Yes, I replied to Christina. Rezvan, hi Francesca, can sports help me get in a European university, even if I want to study something unrelated to that? For example, psychology. Of course it helps. Sports, it helps you because it gives you transferable skills. For example, it teaches you how to be a team worker, a good team worker, how to be committed and a hard worker, how to succeed as well, because sport is a way of being. So of course, sports is challenging too. It takes up some free part of your time, so you can really gain those transferable skills. Definitely sport is important as well. What are the top public universities for business and management? As we checked them out before, we have Bocconi University, we have Erasmus University, Rotterdam, that is really good, Copenhagen Business School, Stockholm University of Economics. So these are really good picks in general. So I think I answered lots of questions. You can drop more if you want. I'm happy to reply to you. And yeah, but overall, guys, really have fun looking into a university. It has to be a pleasure. And then you can also ask one of our mentors about, to consult with them. You can also ask different people that have been there. It really needs to be the choice that you feel. Nobody else can choose better than you. So yeah, really, it's really important. Yes, so drop more questions if you want to find out more about your studies. I'm just seeing if I left out any other questions. So let's see. What are your thoughts about University of Zurich? University of Zurich is really good. You have, the ATH University. Normally programs there are bilingual, so you need to have a certain level of German. But yes, overall it's really good. If you have a good German level, you can apply for that type of university, look into their programs, and it's quite highly ranked. What are the best universities for computer science? We checked it in the presentation as well. You have Delft University, Eindhoven University for computer science. There is Tilburg University that does a combination of computer science and cognitive science, for example. You have also Radboud University in the Netherlands. You also have École Polytechnique, for example, that offers you a bachelor in science program where you can pick computer science as your specialization. You also have Bocconi University that offers you computer science, management, and business. So I hope I answered some of your questions. Alexia Irina, what makes a strong portfolio for a filmmaking degree? Does, for example, theater experience help me? Of course it helps you. Again, when you look at your portfolio, you need to think about what kind of experiences you have, what kind of transferable skills you can take from your experiences, and theater is one of them, because theater shows that you can act in front of a public. It helps you articulate your a particular play, and overcome that fear that you have in front of the audience, being confident. So this helps you also when you do filmmaking, because if you know what the actors feel and what the actors do, then of course it will help in the filmmaking to have an overall picture. Let me see. Dana, I can see really well. What are the top university for mathematics? École Polytechnique for sure. But again, this mathematics, you have Groningen, but you have also Dublin University College in Ireland. You have many. But really, check the top pick for your chosen subject, but really look into also other criterias, not just going into the top one just because it's the top ranked. Does UVA have a program in criminal psychology? It has a program in psychology. So remember, research university in general don't have that specific subjects in the EU. So you will do psychology and perhaps dig deeper in your third year into criminal psychology. Are the BAC exam results more important than high school years grade averages when trying to get into any university? They surely look at your transcripts with your averages, of course, and they look into your final exams, but detrimental is your transcript, so what you have been doing overall in your high school years. Do passion projects help us get into universities as they do for US admissions? Do you have any information on universities in Austria? So passion projects help you really much if you want to apply for a competitive university that requires the CV. There are, for example, the liberal arts liberal arts universities in the Netherlands really do look into your extracurricular activities. Also other universities that are quite competitive, especially also Bocconi University, École Polytechnique, Sciences Po, and many others look into your CV. Even Groningen, all of them that look into your CV, really, it means that your passion projects could make the difference when there is a selection process in place. In terms of university in Austria, there are, in Austria generally, like in Germany, programs are often bilingual, so you always need to apply for them having that language really well set in your mind, so you really need to have a good level there. But yeah, overall there are really good University of Vienna, there is University in Berlin, there is a really good University of Applied Sciences for architecture, for example. But yeah, you really need to check the fact whether they require you to have a good level of that language, because you might have also some programs partially taught in German. Just what can you include in a CV without any work experience? You don't necessarily need to have a work experience. What you should focus on is your extracurricular activities. So really get involved into what your high school has to offer, and if you want to go outside your high school, you can also check different activities. For example, volunteering is really good. It shows, like, it really enriches your CV, and it also enriches you personally. But you can also get involved in different projects. You might be able to get an internship at a startup. So you really don't need to have a work experience, but these experiences, such as your extracurricular activities or internships, can also look like a work experience, okay? Cosmin, if I need to write a short letter for the admission, what should I prioritize in the making of it? So you really need to find a good balance between your academic knowledge and your extracurricular activities and your motivation for studying that particular program. If you want to find out more about the motivation letter, just stay tuned for Kami's presentation today, because she will really dig deep into these motivation letters, and she will give you really good tips. What test do I have to take for my English level except for the Cambridge exam, and for which university do these tests help me? Andrea. So in general, for your English level, you can take the IELTS, the TOEFL, and the Cambridge, so the CAI, Cambridge. And this will help you to any university at the U level. So you can pick one of the 3 tests, and you can rest assured that you will have the passepartout in order to attend any university. And when it comes to English test, really plan ahead the test as well, because you don't want to be admitted to that particular program and then not having the test to be able to attend it. So really plan ahead your prep for the English test, and as well as taking the exam in time. Let's see what else. What level of English do you need to study medicine in the Netherlands? I skipped this question, Alina. So in general, you need to have between B2 and C1, preferably C1. But take into consideration that in the Netherlands, you will have 3 years studying in English, and then you will also have to learn Dutch, because you will have your practicals in Dutch hospitals. So you also need to take into account this particular criteria. So I think we are done for today. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope this session has been useful for you. If you have any other question, don't hesitate to send them to Andrada at Upgrade Education, and don't hesitate to contact us as well. As one of you said before, even if you're in 10th grade, it's never too early to start preparing for the university of your dreams. So thank you for being here in this session with me, for sticking with me, and enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of the events today. Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody, and it's great to be with you today. Good morning. My name is Gubnat, and I'm joining you here from Dublin in Ireland. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about studying in Ireland, and in particular in Trinity College Dublin, where I'm based, right in the heart of this beautiful European capital. Why would you think about studying in Ireland? I suppose, first of all, well, we are a really friendly, safe environment here in Ireland. We've got a population of just over 4.5 million people, and it's an English-speaking country, and all of our programs are taught through English. We have a long tradition of education excellence here in Ireland, with attracting many students from all over the world. And of course, not only students, but also then because we are producing such high level of graduates, attracting those global companies who want to attract those graduates to work in their companies as well. There's a real innovative, creative culture here in Ireland. And I think that filters through from not only the education system, but right throughout our creative, artistic nature as well here. The currency here in Ireland is obviously the euro, and we are first in Europe for completion of third level education. So lots of opportunities here for you as well. Obviously, as European citizens, you would not require a visa to come and study in Ireland, but you are, of course, welcome to stay and work with us after your degree, should you wish to. This is what our country looks like here, I suppose, in the small little map in the far right-hand corner. It's about just over 70,000 square kilometers. So within easy access, I suppose, for you as a student, when you come here, you can also explore our beautiful green countryside and places like the Wild Atlantic Way, and lots within a 2-hour journey of the campus that we have here in Dublin. We are based in Trinity, right in the heart of the Dublin Innovation District. And this is a global innovation hub whereby many of, I suppose, the companies that I'm sure you're familiar with, like Facebook and Google, LinkedIn, Salesforce, HubSpot, Huawei, they're all based within a stone's throw of our campus, and they've located either their European or their global headquarters within a stone's throw of our campus. The reason being, I suppose, is because the same reason that you would want to come to study here. It's a very cosmopolitan city, but it's also, as I say, we have a tradition of education excellence. So this is attracting these companies as well to come and set up their businesses here in Dublin. This is our front of our campus, and we are located right in the heart of the capital city. So we're, I suppose there's not many European universities that are located right in the heart of the city, but this is really the center of the city. But we are Ireland's leading research institute as well. So it's a real research intensive university. And what that means for you as a student coming here is that the professors who teach you in the classroom will be leaders in their field. So beautiful front square, but also leading out into the cosmopolitan city as well. I'm going to play this video now to give you a feel for what we're all about. So hopefully you will be able to see it and hear it.
Lies a modern capital city, and in the beating heart of this city is Ireland's highest ranking university, Trinity College Dublin. Trinity is a modern, living, breathing campus, pulsing with people, energy and ideas. It's made an indelible mark on Ireland and the world for more than 4 centuries, but its 21st century incarnation has its focus firmly fixed on the future. Today, Trinity's campus is Ireland's largest research centre, a place where leading experts from the humanities, the sciences, and medicine are creating research that matters and then turning that research into impact. Thousands of new students pass through Trinity's gates for the very first time every September. They join a community of 3,000 staff, 17,000 students, and alumni more than 130,000 strong. A community that is inclusive and welcoming and active in every corner of the globe. A community that will bring out the best in each student and help those students to make their way in life. Our students are all different, but they share one characteristic. They have never been content to accept life as they find it. They agitate. They innovate. They build new worlds. Perhaps this is why Trinity has produced 1/5 of all Irish spin-outs, more entrepreneurs than any other university in Europe, and more than half of all the Nobel laureates from the Republic of Ireland. Perhaps this is why Trinity collaborates so well with the Irish and multinational companies that make Dublin their home. Perhaps this is why Trinity has changed with every generation, and why Trinity never sits still. Perhaps this is why one of the world's great cities is home to one of the world's great universities. Trinity College Dublin.
Okay, so hopefully that's given you a nice overview of our university, of our city, and then what it looks like. And I suppose the connection that you would have here as a student coming in to join our community, not only a community of students, a community of academics, of professors, but a community that's highly connected with the innovative centre of the city here in Dublin as well. So here at Trinity, we have 3 faculties: arts, humanities, and social sciences, health sciences, and engineering, maths and science, so the STEM faculty. But over all of these 3 faculties, we offer over 130 undergraduate course options. So lots available to you to study. And you can see here the kind of wide variety across of disciplines that we cover across the screen. So it's a real holistic, I suppose, university experience if you're looking for the kind of degree that you hopefully we have something that you may wish to pursue. We also offer a dual BA program here at Trinity College Dublin. So this is a dual BA program whereby you would spend the first 2 years of your degree here in Dublin studying with us at Trinity. And then the second 2 years you would go to Columbia University in New York and coming away with 2 degrees at the end of it. For those of you who might be looking to, I suppose, work on an international stage further down the line, this may be something of interest to you that you can check out on our website. Here at Trinity, we have a really vibrant, diverse student community. So we are ranked the most international university in Europe. And the 8th most international university in the world. So we have students coming to study with us from all over the world, over 18,000 students here on campus, but it's nice and contained because I'm sure you've seen a bit from the video that I played there, that it's a walled campus in the heart of the city. So it's about 42 acres in total, the size of our campus. So no matter where you go, you will meet people that you know, and we're very friendly here in Ireland. You will meet people that you know, but as well as that, it's easy to combine not only your studies, but also your extracurricular activities. So we really do believe very strongly in making sure that our students get involved not only in their academic studies, but in the extracurricular activities that we have here. So we have 170 sports clubs and student societies here at Trinity. We have 2 of the oldest debating societies in the world. We've attracted speakers like Al Pacino and Joe Biden to our debating societies to speak to our students. And lots more besides. You don't need to be an expert to get involved in any of our activities, and there's lots there for everybody. And we do really feel that this adds not only to the enjoyment and the experience, the holistic experience of the university, but as well as that you will also develop those key skills when you are partaking in the clubs and societies that you can bring forward into the workplace as a graduate, like teamworking, project management, and budgetary management as well. So lots of exciting things to get involved in. With regard to the application process for any university here in Ireland, it is a competitive process. So regardless of what university here in Ireland you're looking at, you will need to meet the minimum entry requirements for the university. You'll need to meet the English language requirements, the course-specific requirements, and the competitive requirements for that year. Just one thing to point out for you before I come to a close and get to some of your questions is that there is an application process that is specifically for those of you who would hold EU fee status. And if you don't, then there is a separate application process. So your fee status will determine your application process. You will be able to find lots of information on our website. So you'll see here, we have 2 websites highlighted on the bottom of the screen here. So for undergraduate admission requirements, you can see there it's tcd.ie/study/apply admissions requirements for undergraduates. But what I would recommend that you would do for those of you coming from Romania is to go to our country page. So that's the one at the bottom of the screen, www.tcd.ie/study and / and you can put in your country there. So if you're joining us from Romania, you will get the admissions requirements from your country. You will be able to find out more about the application process. Just before I finish, I did mention that there were 2 routes of application, and these are based on your family's tax residency. So for those of you whose families are tax resident within the EU, you will qualify for subsidized fees, and you will be applying via the Irish Central Application Office. So you can see here, it's this website here, the www.cao.ie. You will need to apply via this route only if you are tax resident in the EU, because it will mean that you will qualify for subsidized fees. If you're also an EU citizen, what this means is that you will pay €3,000 student contribution per year. So with our 4-year degree, that would mean that your degree will cost you €12,000 in total. So for these applicants who would be applying via this central route, we don't offer a huge amount of scholarships. There are scholarships available within that within that period of time. I just see there's a question coming through there with regard to tuition fees. So if you are an EU fee status applicant, your fees per year would be €3,000. If you don't have tax residency within the EU, the fees will vary from course to course and you will be charged international fees. But as a Romanian citizen who's tax resident within Romania, then you would be just paying the student contribution of €3,000 per year. You're solely assessed on your grades. That's when you're coming in as an EU student, so you will just compete for a place on your grades. I'm just going to leave this website and email address here at the bottom of the screen while I get to some of your questions. But if you are looking for any further information, we would recommend that you go to our www.tcd.ie/CAO page, and that will give you lots of detail with regard to the application, but also Student Live and what's it like to study here as well. You can also talk to some of our students, but if you have any questions as a result of this session, please do email us at international@tcd.ie. Okay, I'm just going to come to some of your questions now, because I can see that they're coming through, but hopefully that has given you a bit of an insight into our university here at Trinity. So with regard to scholarships, for those of you who are applying within Europe, then you would be able to access our foundation scholarship, which is our most prestigious scholarship, once you are accepted as a student here. And in your second year, you would do an exam, a choice exam, whereby if you are successful in achieving the results in that exam, you would then become a foundation scholar of Trinity, whereby your fees would be paid, your accommodation would be paid for 5 years. So many of our foundation scholarships will go on to postgraduate study with us as well here. But throughout our courses, we do have scholarships available. Once you're an accepted student here, as I say, as an EU fee status applicant, you have highly subsidized fees and you don't pay international fees here at Trinity because you are paying that €3,000 student contribution just. So another question that we have is, do humanities courses rely on memorizing? So not really. I think a lot of our humanities courses here would be focused on developing your critical thinking skills, and your analysis. This is the kind of, I suppose, debate that happens within the classroom here, because a lot of our humanities courses are smaller courses as you move through the years. A lot of it is with regard to interaction with your professor. And I think the main thing about the Trinity degree is coming away with that set of critical thinking skills. So it's not so much memorizing things, but it's more so forming your opinion on the subject area and the discipline. With regards to the history program, yes, absolutely. I can see that is with regards to the history program. So yes, of course, but across all of our humanities, it would be you analyzing the text, analyzing the information, and then coming up with your perspective on it, because this is what we really respect here at Trinity. What level of English do you require for your law program? So all of our English language requirements are available on our website. They are standard across the majority of our programs. So if you would like to check them out, I would recommend that you go to www.tcd.ie/CAO, and then you will be able to find the English language requirements there for all of our courses. Okay. What is the tuition fee? Hopefully I've answered that. If you're an EU fee status applicant, you would pay €3,000 per year. If you are not a tax resident within the EU, then you would be paying international fees. But hopefully the majority of you here today are coming from within the EU and tax resident in the EU. Accommodation offerings, yes. Thank you for that question. We do have a dedicated first year Trinity Hall campus accommodation, which is located about 10-minute cycle from the campus. It's a dedicated first year accommodation, and we would recommend that you would apply to that. You will need to apply separately. If you're applying to Trinity, you would also need to apply for accommodation, and there's full details on our website. You'll be able to access that via that web page that I have there, tcd.ie. You'll find out the information there. And then as people move up through the course of their degree, many people will rent in private accommodation with friends that they have met across the city as well. Does one's fees change with double citizenship? No, not necessarily. It is that the fees are solely really determined by your tax residency, the tax residency of your family if you're under 23. So it will depend where your family are paying tax. If they're paying tax within the EU, then your fees will be, and you're an EU citizen, your fees will be €3,000 a year. If you're not, then they will be much higher if you're paying taxes in Canada. Research internship, yes, there are research internships opportunities. Obviously, we're a research institute, so yes, of course, you will be getting involved in research. All of our students do a research project in their final year. So yes, absolutely, there will be research opportunities and intern opportunities here. And the requirements for a scholarship, they are normally academic merit-based scholarships as you move through the university system. So I think we're coming to the end of our session here now today. So Hopefully you really enjoyed our session. I hope you check us out. Please think about coming to Dublin to study at Trinity, Ireland's oldest university, and we would love to help you if you have any more questions. But thank you for your time today, and I hope you really do enjoy the rest of the fair.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and greetings from Zagreb Airport. I'm going to start off with apologizing in case you hear some background noise, like some announcement. I'm in the airport, so just wanted to let you know about that. I'm Jana Alexandra, and I represent Bocconi University. I'm going to talk a bit about it today. Again, sorry for the background noise. So Bocconi was founded in 1902 and has been pioneer in a lot of things. For example, offering the first degree in economics in Italy, being the first offering a BSc in English, or the first offering an exchange program in Europe. So it has reached quite some milestones in the past more than 100 years. The university has around 15,000 students enrolled. So we have over 100 nationalities on campus, which make up for 40% international students. And what Bocconi is very known for is also having a lot of international networks when it comes to partner universities, for example, over 280 partners worldwide, joint and double degree programs, alumni worldwide, over 100K, which already got to like quite senior positions and are offering like jobs for our students who are currently in their studies. Based on all what I mentioned till now, like the international relations, the milestones that the university has achieved, we have been also ranked in the top 20, if you see here, like based on our different subjects or different programs. Another reason why we're also highly ranked is also the placement of the graduates. We have quite a high placement rate. 3 out of 4 students have a job already on the graduation day, and over 90% within 1 year. And it takes around 1 month to get the job. This is based on all the good connections we have, like with employers, over 4,000 partner companies. We even in 2022, in the beginning of the pandemic, we already offered over 7,000 placements for internships or jobs, and we offer a lot of events on campus or online. Of course, in the last 2 years, giving you the opportunity to look up an employer, to meet them, and to, of course, get a job. When it comes to the programs that we offer, you have here listed in an overview. Most of our programs are offered entirely in English, but you also can study in Italian if you want to, alternatively. Mainly, we're focused on management, finance, economics, and then mixing the disciplines with other ones as well. The programs are 3 years long, which follow following structures. So in the first year, a little bit more general with compulsory courses. The second year, offering the opportunity to specialize in a field, and in the third year, to personalize your program by choosing elective courses, either doing an internship or going on an exchange semester. We do focus also on other skills outside of, let's say, of our main core courses. For example, every program has a computer science skill, critical thinking, soft skills, and we focus also on languages. So if you don't speak Italian, the first foreign language in the first year will be Italian, and in the second year, you can choose another language of your preference. So now let's go to more important points about the university. What do you need in order to get admitted to our programs? So there's quite straightforward application process. Everything is happening online. The two most important items are, of course, our admission tests. Bocconi offers its own admission test, which is currently offered online. It's the Bocconi online test, but alternatively, also you can apply with SAT or ACT. That would be like one. And then the second point is your average of the grades from the second and last and third last year. So that's the 10th grade and 11th grade. And we're looking overall for results over 80%, I would say, for both the admission test and the transcripts. So for example, like any grades above 8 out of 10 in the Romanian system would be really good. As all classes are in English, we request a language certificate. So preferably, obviously, for English. We accept Cambridge, Yale, TOEFL, and other ones as well. So the level of language you need is going to be B2. Also important for your application is a CV and a motivation letter. These documents are not as important for the application itself, but later on for funding opportunities like merit scholarships, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in my presentation. Okay, so there's one program that is a little bit specific that I didn't mention during my presenting the program. Is the World Bachelor in Business. It's the 4-year triple degree together with the university in Southern California and one in Hong Kong. So you spend 1 year in California, one in Hong Kong, one at Bocconi, and the 4th year you can choose one of the first 3. For this program, this application deadlines are different, as well as the requirements. If you have interest in this program, please reach out to me at the end. I will share with you my contacts. Just a hint, let's say, about the Bocconi application timeline. You can already apply 1 year in advance to start. For example, if you want to start in September 2023, you can start applying between July and September this year in the early session, or November, January for the winter session, and our final session is the spring session. If there's still anyone who wants to start this year, the application deadline is going to be 14th of April. When it comes to fees and funding opportunities, our tuition fees are 13,000 per year. I would recommend maybe for living costs to calculate with around 12,000 euros additionally per year, including housing, as well as food, transportation, and so on. You do have different funding opportunities if you join Bocconi, like you can either get the Merit Award, Merit or International one. These are entirely based on your application and do not require a separate application. And we also offer like financial aid. For this, you have to apply only once you have been admitted. The last option is to fund your studies is getting a student loan. We have partnership with Italian banks that can offer you that. 1 out of 4 students has one type of financial aid, or like merit scholarship. So just so you have an idea. So a little bit about studying in Milan and studying on campus. We have a lot of opportunities. I actually have pictures for you for someone who hasn't been to Milan, like we have the Duomo, the Rinascente. So one of the more like business areas of Milan. Um, Milan is like the financial capital of Italy. It's not Rome in that case, but it's a great opportunity to start your career because all more than 4.7K companies have opened their office in Milan and not in Rome. It's also the stock exchange is there. You have a lot of opportunities when it comes to fashion if you're interested in. So you really have a lot of opportunities out there in Milan as a study location. Um, we have over 90 student associations. So if you want to get involved in any extracurricular activities, there's a lot of options there too. We over like they can be related to sports, to hobbies, to the different study programs. If you're more the active kind, we have a Bocconi Sports Center with a gym, spa, Olympics high school, sports arena, running tracks. So everything you want, you will find on campus. Milan is quite a big student city as well, so you have the opportunity to meet with other students and network, but also with the keynote speakers we invite on campus over the course of the year. You can live on campus as well, so we have over 2,000 rooms in 8 dorms. You have priority as a first-year student, an international student, so once you get admitted, you get more information about that. And I'm gonna actually show you a couple of pictures also of the campus. Just like loading. So this is part of our like buildings. You can see the different campus opportunities where you have classes or where you can live on campus. Of course, we have also a student canteen. Finally, I would like to mention you a couple of opportunities where you can like interact with Bocconi. So we have on the 21st of May, our next open day. It's in person and online. So it's really up to you if you want to join it like from home or you want to visit the campus in Milan. If you want to learn anything about open classes, like to see how courses at Bocconi work, you can check out one of our open classes. And here and there, I organize Bocconi orientation meetings in Bucharest mainly. So if you're interested, you can always like come and meet me there. Alternatively, you can visit our campus in Milan every Friday. We organize campus tours with students. We try to connect you with students that are in the same program like the one you are interested in. So you have the opportunity to meet students and then, of course, explore the campus premises. One final option to check out the university is the summer school. So this is more relevant for someone in the 10th grade or 11th grade. You still can apply for summer school and for the next 1-2 weeks. You can check it out under this link. This year it's happening between 4th and 15th of July. And again, we offer it online and on campus. So you have the opportunity to, I would always like to say it's like a test drive of the university while you're like deciding, you're in the decision process of choosing a university. You meet with students, you work on different projects, you meet with professors, you live on campus. So it really is going to give you the whole feeling of a Bocconi student. Finally, I would like to share with you my contacts as I know we don't have that much more time for questions. Feel free to scan this QR code if you want to set up a meeting with me. You can do it also at the later stage. You can just book a meeting there. Otherwise, you can reach out to me over email or WhatsApp. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And of course, if you reach out to me, I can let you know when I'm again in Romania and in Bucharest mainly. But I'm more than happy to meet you also in person. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for your attention and apologies again for the background noise of the airport. I'm looking forward then to meet you in person and hopefully in Milan. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this masterclass for writing the EU personal statement. My name is Kami Diaconu, and I'm going to be holding this masterclass. I'm really happy to be presenting to you all. First of all, let me just say a few things about myself. I studied at the University of Cambridge in the UK, and I graduated with first-class honors in aerospace engineering. Then I also did a master's at Cambridge in partnership with Rolls-Royce. I worked on a really interesting project. I also completed an internship in energy efficiency at the NATO Energy Security Center of Excellence, and then I became an Upgrade Education senior strategist, and I have extensive experience with admissions in the EU, UK, and the US. Okay, so let's get to it. I'll tell you a little bit about the things that we'll be discussing today when we talk about the essays that you would have to send in your application for universities in the EU. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the personal statement, so basically what it is. We're going to talk about the things that you should consider before you start writing your personal statement and in the process of writing it. Then we're going to look a little bit at a few do's and don'ts, frequent mistakes that some students do when they write these essays. Then we're going to analyze together a successful essay to see how all the things that I'll be talking about today can be put into practice when writing this personal statement. And finally, I'll tell you a little bit about how Upgrade Education can help you in this process. And finally, I hope we'll have about 10 minutes for Q&As, all right? So let's get started. Okay, so what is this personal statement? First of all, you should know that in the EU, when you make your application, you generally send a different application, a different essay for each university and for each bachelor program that you are applying for. So you have to tailor your essay to the requirements of each bachelor program you're applying for, right? So the form of these essays might vary. Some of them might just tell you, send us a 2-page personal statement or a 500 words personal statement, and they just let you write whatever you want to write in it. Some of them might give you more instructions, like guide you through a set of questions that you need to answer in your essay, right? So now I'm going to talk about the things that any personal statement should have, no matter if you have clear instructions or it's a kind of free essay. And I'm also going to talk about something that you might be asked to write in this essay. So first of all, the most important thing about any personal statement for any bachelor's program, for any university in the EU and anywhere in the world, is that you manage in this essay to express your interest and your passion for the subject that you're applying to study in university, all right? Then beyond your mere interest, you also have to show in this essay that you have the skills, the abilities, and the knowledge to be successful in university. So to show that you develop this knowledge and these skills that will let you do well when you study that degree in college. And how do you showcase these things, your interest and your abilities? You will generally showcase through your experiences from high school. So you're going to talk about courses you've taken, extracurricular activities that you've been involved in, or maybe books you've read or things you've discussed with your friends and teachers that are going to show that you are both knowledgeable and passionate in the subject that you want to study. Okay, now a few considerations before you start writing, because this process is gonna take a while. It's not like you sit now at your desk, you start writing and you finish within an hour or a day. Even before you start writing the essay, which, with all the revisions might take even, a month, 2 months, even, 3 months. Before that, you need to do thorough research. First of all, some introspection to know what you're going to write about, and also how all these things are going to connect to the subject that you are going to write about. And that research is going to take a few months before you actually start writing. Okay, so the starting point for this research is to choose your universities and programs carefully, right? You should do online research and also talk to people in your network to really understand if the bachelor programs you're applying to are the most fitting to you. Basically, from general things like maybe you're interested in economics, also in business. For example, in the Netherlands, you will notice that they have business administration bachelors, and they also have business and economics bachelors, right? So you would have to really understand the difference between these two types of bachelors in order to know which one is best to apply to, right? Is the one that you're interested in business administration or business and economics? What's the difference between those two? And to understand these things, you should research online. First of all, it's always good to look on the university web page. The websites of the universities are really, really cool, and you can find a lot of information there. And there you can see the course structure and understand what kind of things you would learn each semester. Then you could also see if you could do, travel abroad years, if you could do any minors. So all these things you can find on the web pages of the universities to understand if that particular bachelor program is the one that you want to apply for and it's the most suited to you. Apart from doing research online, it's really important to talk to people who have actually been through the process and maybe who are actually studying there at those universities and they are taking the courses that you plan to apply for. So if you have older friends or siblings who are now at those universities, and they can give you a more personal perspective about that. Also, you can always talk to the upgrade mentors, because our mentors, many of them are studying or have studied at those particular universities, and they have studied exactly the same bachelor programs that you're interested in. So talking to them and understanding their personal perspective and a more nuanced, in-depth perspective than what you can get on the internet is super, super helpful, so that you know exactly what you're getting into. So after all this research, it's really important that you know everything about your target bachelor programs, from course structure and what kind of things you learn each semester and each year, to all the specific requirements, right? So especially the requirements about the application. As I was telling you, there are some universities who give you very specific requirements about this essay. For example, in Denmark, if you apply to study general engineering at the Technical University of Denmark, when they ask you to write the personal statement, they say they want to see what kind of abilities you have that demonstrate that you will be successful during this bachelor program. They also ask to see to show how you can collaborate with other people, how you can be in a multidisciplinary collaborative environment, and how you can work in an international environment with people from different cultures. So you would have to bring proof in your essay of all these things, right? And they specifically ask you that in the questions, and that's a requirement. So really, really pay attention to that. Okay, now if you know everything about the structure and the requirements of the bachelors that you're applying for, it's time to start thinking about how you can prove your interest in those programs in your essay, right? And there are different ways to prove your interest. So first of all, you can talk about academic accomplishments. If you participated in competitions, Olympiads, maybe you won any science fair or a debate or something like this, these are important academic accomplishments that you can talk about, right? It's really relevant if you are applying to study biology, if you participated in a science fair where you won a prize, where you kind of investigated some biological stuff, right? So academic accomplishments are always important to mention in your essay. Then it's really useful to mention any other relevant experiences that are not necessarily academic, right? So maybe you're interested in studying psychology, developmental psychology, and you did some volunteering with the kids from foster homes, okay? And you are also able to observe their behavior and the way they interact with each other and so on. This would be a very relevant experience that you could mention in your personal statement to show that you have a kind of had this insight, which is also related to the topic you're applying to study, developmental psychology, all right? Okay, so there's the academic experiences, there's the extracurricular experiences, and Then there's also the intellectual curiosity, right? So this is kind of a broad term. They really want to see that you're really interested and curious in, and that you really want to learn, right? And the way to show that in your essay is usually by going through many resources that have to do with the subject you're applying to study, and talking about the things you've read, the things you've watched in your essay, right? And analyzing them and saying what kind of ideas these readings have sparked and how you took them further, right? And in terms of resources, there are many introductory books in any subject that you would like to study in university. There are podcasts, there are videos, there are documentaries online. We at Upgrade have extensive lists of recommended resources for any type of a better program you could be applying for. So generally, under the guidance of a mentor, you could be recommended different stuff to read and engage with that would definitely broaden your perspective in that field, so that when you get to write this application essay, you would be able to talk eloquently about some concepts that are beyond what you do in school in that subject. And that would convince the admissions people that you really took a deeper interest in the subject you're applying for, and you're knowledgeable and you can engage with ideas that would be similar with the ideas you would engage with during university. Okay, so these are kind of the areas that you should think about to find things to write in your essay. Then when you actually start writing your essay, you should pay attention to different stuff, and we'll take it by analyzing the structure of the essay. So we'll talk about the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion, all right? Okay. So first of all, the introduction. A lot of people struggle with the introduction to their essays because they want to have pizzazz, So there is always a risk that students might, use cliches or generalized statements in their introduction just to have something pizzazzy, sparky. And this is definitely a mistake. If you want to have a strong introduction, then you should start with some specific detail that only you could describe, right? It should be something personal to attract the attention of the committee, right? So it shouldn't be something general like, if you're interested in economics and poverty, for example, you shouldn't say poverty is like a disease or something like that. That's a cliche and that's terrible. Instead, try to start with a personal example of a time when you thought about, the implications of poverty on society, for example. And if you can't start with a nice, interesting personal example, then it's all right. Don't try to manufacture something. Just go directly into the core of your essay, Start with what you did with your passion for your subject. Just leave the introduction. If you don't manage to find a nice, catchy introduction that is also specific, then better than writing a cliche or a generalized one, just jump directly into the main content. All right, that's my advice. Okay, then when you write the central paragraphs, generally the best way to do it for clarity, because it's really important that this essay is really, really clear to the people who are writing it, because they're not going to spend a lot of time on it. The best way is to show how your passion for your chosen field has developed over time. So to talk about your experiences that are related to the program you're applying for in chronological order, right? You can start with how your passion was sparked, when it appeared, what made you think about this subject, and then continue to talk about how you explored it more in depth, how you joined a certain club at school, how you delved deeper into these books, and then how you created your own club to explore in more depth the issues related to the subject that you're applying for, okay? But you can go in chronological order. It's easiest to follow. And when you do it, make sure that each paragraph only has one main idea in it, right? We don't want any confusion in this essay. And then really, really important, in each paragraph, you should make it really, really clear how the experience that you're talking about, your personal experience, connects with the field that you want to study, okay? So if you won a debate contest, don't just talk about how you know, what happened at the contest and how you debated and how you won it. Also, link it to the subject that you're applying for. So you can say that you developed research skills and you learned about politics and economics, and these things would make you a very suitable candidate for a PPLE program, right? Where you also have to do, it also has to do with politics and economics, right? So link it to how that experience helped you be a better candidate for the bachelor program you're applying for. Oops. Okay. Then when you write the conclusion, this is a good time to kind of reiterate why you want to study that particular bachelor program at that particular university, because don't forget, you will send a separate essay to each university you're applying to. So it's really important to personalize. And I was telling you about specific requirements many universities have from you in regards to this essay. This might be one of them. Kind of most of the universities specifically ask you to talk in this essay about why you want to study this particular bachelor program at this particular university, right? So you can have answers to this question in the main body of the essay, and it's also good to kind of reiterate those in the conclusion, right? And to tailor your conclusion for each specific bachelor program for each specific university, right? To say specific things about their programs that attract you to them, right? And it's also important not to make a summary of your essay in the conclusion. This is really not necessary. First of all, you don't have space. So the longest personal statement you could be asked to write would be a maximum of 2 pages. So, and you will see that you'll have a lot of things to write and to reflect on. So you won't have space to make a summary of all you've said before. Instead, try to kind of focus on their specific program and end the essay with specific reasons why you want to go there. All right. Good. Now let's talk about a few do's and don'ts. These are just a couple of mistakes I've seen so many people do, and I really want you to avoid doing that. Okay, so first of all, yeah, we talked about that. We talked about the introductions, right? So instead of saying like poverty is like a plague, you could just find a personal example, like describing the guilt you felt when, after you raised money for a charitable event at school, you ignored the beggar in the underground station, right? This is a good storytelling technique because you really draw the reader into the essay, and then they want to find out what you want to say next. Okay, then another thing, don't write lists. So what many students tend to do, and this is also why they feel that they don't have much to say about themselves and their experiences, is they just list, in one sentence or in a paragraph, all the things they did. So I participated in this debate, and I organized this event, and I volunteered for this charitable organization, and I went to this contest, and this was it. That's really bad, because these lists don't say anything about you, right? Nobody cares what you've done and what contest you participated in. It's important kind of how those experiences shaped you and shaped your knowledge, interest, and passion in the subject that you plan to study at university. So instead of just listing your achievements and accomplishments, you should just take them one by one and have a separate paragraph for each of them, because each paragraph has to have a separate idea, as we said. And in each paragraph, first of all, show what was that experience about, so what you did more exactly. Then show what you learned from that experience and what you found interesting. This is the reflection part, all right, where you really show that you thought about that experience and you were left with something after it, with some skills, with some ideas, with some thoughts. And then in the end, don't forget to show how that particular experience relates to the subject that you are planning to study, right? So how will those ideas or those skills help you be a better student when you are enrolled in that particular bachelor programs, okay? So this is the structure. of each paragraph. You talk about what the experience was, what you learned from it, what you found interesting, what skills you developed, and then how it all connects to the bachelor program you're applying for. Okay, then after you finish all these things we talked about, then it's going to be time to edit your essay, all right? And when we talk about editing, you have to keep in mind a few things. First of all, of course, word count and grammar, punctuation, wording, and spelling. So it's really important that you don't go over the word limit. I told you, some of them, they might let you write 2 pages. Some of them, you know, have 500 words limit, character words limit. Some personal statements are like composed of 3 separate 300 word questions, and you have to answer each of them in 300 words, right? So it depends, but whenever you, and it's usually, I mean, all the time, you're gonna go past the word limit, right? So after you exercise and after you are, you know, you get some guidance from people to reflect more on your experiences, you're going to find out that you have much more to say than you thought at the beginning. So then you're going to exceed the word limit. So then what you can do is definitely, you know, to rephrase stuff and to cut words and so on, if you didn't exceed it with a lot, or if you really exceeded the word limit with a lot of words, then what you will have to cut some ideas, right? And as a general rule of thumb, I think it is better to cut ideas that kind of relate less to the topic that you're to the subject that you're applying for, right? So if you have an academic experience that really shows that you investigated the topics that you would also study in university in that program, and if you also have a paragraph where you talk about your sports experience and how sports helped you develop discipline, which will be super useful in university, and you have to choose between the two, which one to cut because you don't have enough words left, then you would cut the latter, right? Because it's not so closely related to the subject you're going to study in university, right? So try to keep and to focus on the things that are most closely related to the bachelor program you're applying for, all right? Okay, so this is about word count. Then about grammar, punctuation, wording, spelling, of course, you can't afford to have a magnificent essay with great content and a lot of interesting ideas and just have those people dismiss it, the people who read it because you made some stupid grammar mistakes, okay? So make sure somebody looks over your essay, you know, repeatedly before you send it to check for all those things. Then for many of the universities in the European Union, it's really important that the application is holistic. So, excuse me, as I said, the activities and experiences that are most related to the bachelor you're applying for are the most important. But for them, it's really important that you also showcase some other skills, right? As I was saying before, the ability to work in a team with a group of people from multicultural backgrounds, right? Some of them are going to explicitly ask you to talk about that, to talk about the time when you worked with a diverse group of people in a team and what you learned from that. Some universities are not going to ask you, but they're still going to expect you to give examples of situations where you showed teamwork and the ability to work in international environments, right? These are super important things. And also other qualities like work ethic, disciplines that you can develop from any kind of activity, including, you know, sports, playing an instrument, and so on. So make sure you keep about a quarter, a third of your essay to showcase these kind of soft skills, let's say, which are not directly related to the academic part of what you'll be studying in university. Then you should also check for the essay to be authentic, right? If you have too many general stuff, if I look at your essay and I tell you, man, I could have written that and I know nothing about politics, for example, then that's really bad, okay? It has to be an essay that only you could write because it's based on your readings, on your experiences, on your reflections, and so on, right? So this is in line with just cutting all the generalities and focusing on the specific. Okay, and finally, just meeting the requirements, right? If they if they ask you to talk about the specific things, if they ask you to clearly state how you think you would be suited for their particular bachelor program at their particular university, you need to have strong reasons for that, right? You need to check their website to see, for example, this particular general engineering program is different from the others because in the first 2 years, you get a broad understanding of engineering and you only have to specialize in the third year, right? And if you see that, you want to apply for that, and you see that on their website, then that's definitely something you should focus on. And you should talk about in your essay and talk about, okay, how is this kind of a multidisciplinary approach? How does it fit with me? And write about in your essay, right? If they ask you to give arguments why their program is good for you. And generally any kind of other requirements they have, you have to make sure you check repeatedly if you met all of them in your essay. Okay, and that's about editing. And just a final note on editing, I would just advise you guys not to always have at least one person take a look at your essay before sending it, because when you've worked on an essay for so long, sometimes for months, then you don't have the objective view of the person who encounters that essay for the first time. So you might miss, spelling mistakes, or some things might make sense in your head, even if they really don't. So have at least one person look over the essay and give you a completely unbiased opinion, all right? And it's preferably if that person was somebody who kind of knew what they were talking about. But it's really important because you kind of lose your perspective once you really, do it for a long time. Okay. Now we're gonna look at an essay, and I'm gonna let you read it in your own time, each part of it, each paragraph, and I'm gonna comment on, the good things the student managed to do in this essay. So now we're talking about this essay of a student who was accepted to the Global Leadership and Responsibility Bachelor's Program at Groningen University in the Netherlands. A super cool program at a super cool university in a really nice city. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so in the introduction, what this student does, you will notice that she doesn't have an exciting introduction, but I mean, she didn't want to have an exciting introduction, so she jumped directly into it, right? She said that, well, I got to understand, that there are all these problems, so I wanted to help, and I became part of this NGO, right? So she goes directly into what she did. She doesn't have a fancy introduction, but she doesn't just blabber about, general considerations about climate change, poverty, discrimination. No, she mentions that she's going to be talking about these issues that interest her, and then she jumps directly to what she did in order to understand these issues deeper, right? So this is a safe way to start an essay. And then she talks about her experiences really relevant for this program of leadership and responsibility, right? So she talks about this international relations course. And then she not only mentions that she participated in this course, but she gives an example that really shows that she was left with something after that course, right? So she talks about what she studied, the trade imbalances of developing nations, and kind of how Western countries negatively influence these nations, right? So what she says here in the last part of the paragraph shows that she really got something out of that course, international relations course that she attended. Then she continues this essay by giving another relevant example of an activity that she did that is linked to the program that she's applying to. So this would be the philosophy and economics courses. And here she showcases a really important skill, right? And that is to see a problem from different perspectives. And again, she doesn't just mention that through these courses, she learned how to see a problem in a more nuanced way from different perspectives, but she gives this really good example about a real world problem that needs to be seen from different perspectives, right? And this is global warming. And she says that the climate crisis should not only be seen from an environmental perspective, but also from the economic perspective, which really influences the way we position ourselves against it, right? And she continues on this line of thought, showing how the economics of climate change would influence, the working force and so on. And this example here is really good because it is specific, right? You take a problem, she analyzes it, and she really shows that she can see a problem from different perspectives. She doesn't just state it, right? Okay. And then at the end of this paragraph, what she does really nicely is that she ties it to the bachelor she's applying to, right? She analyzed the climate problem from an economic perspective, right? And then she talks about the fact that the global responsibility and leadership course would be exactly the program that would enable her to satisfy her passion and look at such problems in more depth, right? So she links her passion for, in this example, the climate crisis, to how this bachelor program could help her further fuel this passion, right? Okay, then she jumps to, until now she had academic activities, right? So these were kind of academic courses that she talked about and more academic ideas. And now she jumps to the extracurricular part of it, right? She talks about leadership here, and when describing her leadership position in Learnity, she really shows what she did there, right? So she managed a team of 40 students, organizing social events and so on. She states it clearly, and then she reflects upon it, showing what she learned from it, right? And how it was a rewarding experience. She understood how people could work together and how this works, and about cooperation and communication and so on. Okay, and in the last part of the essay, she talks about her activism. So basically, she has been an advocate for public action. She says what she did in this regard, right? She took part in climate strikes organized in her country. And then again, she reflects on these activities. She just doesn't just mentions them. She says that being part of these activities made her aware of her surroundings and the people around her, and more empathetic to the cases of people that she couldn't normally empathize with so easily, without these activities. And then what she does really nicely here is, in the ending of this essay, she, as I told you that you should do in the conclusion, she shows how the program could help her, right? She talked about all her interests, like activism and discrimination and poverty and climate change and so on. And she concludes by explaining how the Global Leadership and Responsibility Program could help her attain her future goals. And she's also specific about her future goals, right? She could be capable of entering politics or public governance and draft effective humane policies, right? So she sets a goal for herself in the future, and she clearly shows how this program is fitted to her because it could help her attain those goals. Okay. And now, I think that's it with this essay. So I just think this is a really, really good example of how an essay kind of, touches upon all the points we have discussed about in this masterclass. And if there's something that you should stay with after this presentation, I think it's specificity, right? So be specific about everything you say. Don't say general things like I developed that skill or I learned about it. No, go into the specifics of how you learned it, how you developed this skill, give a personal example, analyze an idea to really show, not just say that you are capable from that perspective. Okay, so be specific. That's just the one thing I hope you get after this presentation. All right. And now in the end, let me just, before I go into answering some of your questions, let me just tell you a little bit about how we could help you at Upgrade. First of all, if you're planning to apply anywhere abroad, then you are going to, first of all, have an application strategy. So from any point you're now, you can be, a senior, or you might be in the 9th grade or 10th grade. We're going to craft an application strategy with, definite milestones throughout time, so that you manage to do everything you need to do, so that in your senior year, you have the best chances to get into your top choices university, right? So we're going to have this strategy laid out to you through a personalized program. Then if you are still, not sure what exactly you want to study, or maybe you're not sure about the country you want to go study in, or about the options you have available and so on, then we could also help you with some career counseling sessions. And here we're gonna, explore all the possibilities you have, from academic areas that you might be interested in, to specific countries and university programs in Europe and abroad that might be, a great fit for you. Of course, you'll also get to work during this program. You'll get to work with mentors. So for example, when you are doing your application for a particular program at a particular university in a particular country, you're probably going to be paired with somebody who has studied a similar or the same bachelor program in the same country that you're applying in. So it's going to be a person who has intimate experience with the academic topic you're interested in, and also with the admissions process in that particular country where you're applying. So you're always going to get this fit of mentors. And also some universities, apart from this essay that we talked about, they might also ask you to take some exams, or even show up to admissions interviews. And our mentors, having gone through this experience themselves, they're going to be able to help you prepare for these exams and for the interviews. So that's basically how it works, and all the stuff that we could help you. Okay. And now, if you're interested in talking to us, and if you want to, start working with us, or also if you want to, decide that by, exploring with us a little bit, what are your future plans for university, then you're going to receive an email from Andrada to schedule a free meeting with us. And then you're going to have your first meeting with one of our mentors, and we're going to talk about all your plans and stuff like this. And then if the plan sounds good, and if you want to start working towards your dream university, then you will become an Upgrade education student. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. Just wanted to make it clear for everybody. And now I'm going to answer some questions. Let's see what we got here. Okay, let's see. So what are some examples of extracurricular activities that could be significant to apply in aerospace engineering? Oh, that's a great question. I also did aerospace engineering, as I said. So I think, especially now that the pandemic has kind of ended in a way, so especially now that we went back to school, the most relevant activity would be robotics clubs. So many schools have robotics clubs, and this is not only for aerospace, it's for any kind of engineering. So robotics is so cool because it's, multidisciplinary. You get to do a little bit of, building, mechanics, and then coding, and a little bit of that, and teamwork, and so on. So, robotics is really similar to what you would actually have to do in university, in group projects, and also in your real life as an engineer. So I would definitely recommend that if your school doesn't have a robotics club, then you can definitely enroll in the robotics club of another school, or kind of the city robotics club. But now many schools have, so there's at least one school in each city which has a robotics club. So that would be the first activity I would recommend. And then I would also recommend more kind of academic activities, because aerospace engineering and any kind of engineering, it's a tough subject, and it requires, most of all, maths and physics, right? So that's the most important. So I would recommend that you read some, introductory books in aerospace engineering. For example, there's a book called Understanding Flight, which explains really nicely, and it's also an introductory book. It's not fancy stuff. It explains really nice, how planes fly, and a lot of interesting facts about planes. And it also deals with some of the maths and physics behind it. so that you get an understanding of these topics beforehand. And yeah, apart from this, like extracurriculars and academic activities, I would definitely recommend that you really study super hard in maths and physics, because that's the most important thing. So for example, Delft University, which has this amazing aerospace engineering program, the way they examine you, they don't even ask you for such an essay. They just give you an exam. It's like a maths exam, a physics exam, and then they send you some first year materials in aerospace engineering, some lectures about planes and flight and so on. You have to learn them, and then you have to take an exam based on that material. So it's just maths and physics, basically, the admission procedure. So make sure you're really comfortable with that. Okay. Let's see another question. I thank you and I appreciate very much the tips offered, Kami. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Christina. I graduated aerospace engineering. Am I working in the field? Is it easy to find a job after? I'm not working in the field currently, and I haven't been working in the field since I went back to Romania. However, it's a really competitive field, that's true. But if you graduate from a good university, like there are some universities in the UK where I graduated, like Cambridge, Imperial, Bath, Southampton, Bristol, these ones, which are really good in aerospace engineering. And also in Europe, you have Delft University, which is amazing, and Eindhoven, which is great. And yeah, some other technical universities. So if you graduate from one of these top universities, then it's going to be definitely easier for you to find jobs. And most of the jobs in aerospace, those are in Formula One, so working for companies like Mercedes or Red Bull or McLaren, so on, for airplane companies like Airbus, Boeing, and companies like Rolls-Royce. So this is kind of the thing that most aerospace engineering graduates want to do, or work in space, right? So European Space Agency, NASA, stuff like this, right? So this is kind of the universe of the most popular choices of aerospace engineering grads, and it's really competitive. Okay, let's see next. If we mention other extracurricular activities that don't have a connection to the subject we want to study, will those increase the chances to be accepted to universities in the EU? Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'm really going to focus on that, and that's going to be the last one. So yes, but you have to mention them and to talk about them in a way that shows that you developed transferable skills from them, right? So again, the example with sports, if you have been doing, tennis or basketball for 10 years, then it's not just enough to mention that, because it's going to be of no use. But if you talk about the teamwork skills you developed, and the discipline and the capacity to work under pressure and to work systematically and to train and to work with others and so on, if you really showcase these skills, which are super important in a university environment, right? So at university, you're going to have to work with others. You're going to have to really be disciplined and have a tight timetable that you really follow. If you show that you develop these transferable skills, which are really relevant to the university program you're applying for, then it's going to be also relevant to talk about those activities, but only if you showcase that you develop relevant transferable skills, right? I hope it makes sense. Okay, and I think these are all the questions we had time for. Thank you so much, guys, for your questions and for your attention. I hope this was nice, and I wish you good luck with your application to any universities you're going to apply for. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the presentation about Jacobs University. My name is Jackie Zubin, and I am the recruitment counselor for students from the region of Europe. So I cover a lot of different countries. If you don't know where Jacobs University is located, we are in Bremen, Germany, which is in the north of Germany. And it's about an hour west of Hamburg. That kind of helps place where we are. We are a private English-speaking campus university. So what that means is that all of our courses are taught in English and students live on our campus while they are studying. So the picture on the screen is of our campus. So we look very close to what a US campus looks like with our dorms on campus. We have dining halls, a library, coffee bar, gym, sports facilities, a pool, a theater, art rooms. All of that stuff is located right on campus for students. And our campus also has 24-hour security at the gates so that students can feel safe while they are living on campus. We have students from over 118 countries currently on campus. Our average student to faculty ratio is about 18 students to 1 faculty member. So this really allows students to have that one-on-one close relationship with faculty and professors to kind of help facilitate your learning. This also allows for early research opportunities. So if you know you want to research something on your own, or if one of the professors is doing something that you're very interested in, you have more of an opportunity to get early experience with researching and different lab type work. As I said, we are a residential campus. And so in the dorms, students have their own room, and then they share a suite with one other person and then a bathroom. So it's very nice to kind of have your own space. We also have one-on-one academic advising for students. So you are matched with a professor or one of our academic advising staff, and they are there to help you pick your classes, figure out if the major you're in is right for you, and they're there to help guide you. We also have a lot of internship opportunities for students, as well as study abroad opportunities built into all of our programs. And we also have a very active student life, with over 60 clubs and organizations all on campus that are student created, student driven, and student led. So a little bit more about the dorms on campus. So as I said, they are 2-bedroom suites. So you get your own room that comes fully furnished. So you have the bed, a desk, drawers, a cabinet, all type of stuff for you to put your things in. And then you share a bathroom with one other person. All of the dorms are located right on campus. So you're close to all your lectures, your labs, all the sporting facilities, everything on campus is right at your fingertips. And each college dorm itself has its own dining room, rec lounge, study areas, and meeting spaces for students to enjoy. So you don't even have to leave your building. A little bit more about our campus community. With the 60 clubs that we have, they cover a very wide range of interests. So if you like to play any type of sport, if you are into the arts, so if you like to sing, dance, there's a pottery club, there's a photography and video club, there's a cooking club, all types of stuff like that. We also have volunteering clubs. There are major specific clubs. So if you are into robotics or computer science or environmental science, psychology, all of those have clubs that students can be in, and you don't even have to be in that major. So even if you have an interest, you are more than welcome to join the club. So a little bit about the programs that we offer. So one of the programs that we offer for students is our International Foundation Year. So if students are not quite ready for university, if they don't know what they want to study, this program really helps students figure that out. So you can explore different academic study areas, and you can advance your English, and you can live on campus with our undergraduate students. You do not need to do this program to go to our undergrad, but this is an option for students that do not know exactly what they want to study. So we have 15 undergraduate programs for students, and they range from the STEM fields, so computer science, engineering, math, and our robotics and intelligence systems, to natural sciences, with our biochemistry and cell biology, chemistry and biotechnology, earth and environmental science, medical chemistry and chemical biology and physics, and then our diversity area, which covers business and social science. And so that is global economics and management, international business administration, our psychology program, international relations, and then our society, media, and politics program, which is an interdisciplinary program with social sciences. So you learn about sociology, communication, and politics. The other program that I want to point out is our medicinal chemistry and chemical biology. This program is specifically focused on the pharmaceutical industry. So students that want to work with in the lab with drugs and vaccines and things like that. So that one's a little bit specialized for that. So all of our programs are 3 years. We call it our 3C model. So year one, we call choice. And in year one, students are able to have some autonomy and choice on how they complete their program. So there are empty blocks that students can fill with courses from other major programs. So if you are interested in, let's say, computer science, but you also like physics or math or even business, you can add those courses into your program as a minor. You are also able during the first year to change your major. So if you are not 100% sure on what you would like to do, and you're like, maybe this one, maybe that one, you do have the choice in the first year to make a change and change your major. When you get to the second year, we call that core, and that is when you take all of your major specific courses. So you can no longer change your major and you focus completely on all of your program specific courses. So if you're computer science, you do all computer science courses. You get into the lab, it's very hands-on. This year is the busiest year, but it's also the year where you get the most hands-on one-on-one professor experience. All of our programs require an internship. For most of them, it happens between the second and third year. So you do a summer internship. And then when you return for your third year, which we call career, the first semester students have the option to study abroad. You do not have to, but that is an option for students if they would like to. And we have partnerships in over 50 countries all around the world. We're part of Erasmus, so all over Europe, but also North America, South America, the Middle East, and Asia as well. The last semester of students' programs is when they come back to campus and they finish all of the work that they're doing, they write their bachelor's thesis, and they graduate. So on our website, I always advise students, if they're interested in learning a bit more about the program, to go to our website and look at the program pages. Each program that we offer has its own page on the website that students are able to look through. So this example is our robotics and intelligence systems, but you can see on the page, there is a description of the program. You can see what career path students have taken, how to apply, and then different financing. And then a little bit lower on the page, it has different program page info. So you can break this down into year and see what classes you take per year. You can also see a little bit about the internship and different things like that. The Jacobs track, which I'll talk about a little bit on the next slide, that all students have to do. And then it also shows you the schematic study plan, which on the next slide, I'll talk about a lot more in detail. And then the bottom one is also very important, which is the download handbook. So each program has a handbook, and in that handbook is all of the information about that program. So you can look at every class, you can see who teaches it, what you learn, what's covered, and all of that is in the handbook. So they're big documents, but they're very helpful. Okay, so this is the study scheme. each program that we have has its own study scheme. So you're able to see exactly what you take each semester, every year, and everything like that. So each row is a semester. So the bottom row with choice programming in C and C++, your own selection, that whole line is 1 semester. And you can see, as I was talking about with the choice year, where you can fit those extra classes. So if you wanted to study robotics and intelligence system, but also maybe physics, you could put physics courses in those own selection courses to make the program a little bit more unique to you. You also see the Jacobs track on the side. So even though we are located in Germany, all of our courses are in English. So you do not need to know German to apply or to attend. However, when students are attending Jacobs, we do have them take German language courses up to a B2 level. And you can see that with the language courses, it's 4 semesters of German. Now, if you speak German at a B2 level or better, you can test out of that and you would take a different language. We offer Spanish, French, or Chinese. But if you can test at, let's say, an A2 level, then you would finish taking it up to a B2 level for German. We do this for many reasons, but the main one is to help you live successfully in Germany. So if you have to go to the doctor, to the grocery store, riding the train, anything like that, it always helps to have the language of the country that you're in. But again, you do not need to know German to apply or attend. Now, between the 2nd and 3rd year, that is where the internship is. So it's that summer internship. And then you can see, if you choose not to study abroad, what other classes you take. So you're able to do a specialization, and then our community impact project, which helps different projects in the community that students create and lead. So that is a really great thing for students to be able to do as well. And then that last semester, you can see the bachelor's thesis and the seminars and stuff that you do that last year. Okay, so the undergraduate admission requirements. So currently we have students apply with the Common App. So you upload all of your information to the Common App, which is a website that helps facilitate college admissions. And in that circle, you can see all of the documents that we require. So we do have students supply at least 1 recommendation letter, also a motivation statement. So the website will give you a prompt and you're able to answer it in 650 words or less. And then extracurricular activities. So you'll list everything that you have done. So if you've played a sport, if you play a musical instrument, if you volunteered, all of that can be listed right there. We also ask for your transcript, so the academic achievement, transcript from the last 2 to 3 years, also English proficiency. So if you have gone to a school primarily in English for the last 6 years, then you don't have to, but if not, we accept the TOEFL, IELTS, the Duolingo, and Cambridge, as well as a few others. And then in some cases, students also have to provide a standardized test, so the SAT or ACT. But this is case-by-case basis, so you can always ask us if this applies to you. So a little bit more about the application requirements. So there you can see the scores of the English language proficiency test. These are the most common that we receive. So the TOEFL, the IELTS, and Duolingo. And then also the averages of the SAT or ACT of students that apply. So those are averages for the SAT or ACT. So a little lower is okay. And then of course higher. So the average timeline for students that apply. So after you apply, a decision usually comes within 2 to 4 weeks. And then in that decision, you will also receive what scholarship that you have gotten. And the scholarship that we currently have is based on your high school grades. And so you can kind of figure out from your grades what amount you will receive. Students can also apply for financial aid, and then kind of on and on to orientation. Okay, and then I'll talk a little bit about the fees and financing. So the tuition for the full academic year is 20,000 euros. And room and boards, that's your room and your food, are 6,750 euros. And then health insurance, of course, that is the cost of attendance. And then we also have financial aid, so the academic scholarship, which ranges from 4,000 to 8,000 euros, and the tuition deferral program, which helps students cover the cost of tuition at our university. Okay, so that is it for me. If you do want any more information, you can scan that QR code to put your information into our system to get updates about events and different things that we have. And then my WhatsApp number and email are down at the bottom, and you can also reach out to me directly and I'll be happy to help you. But thank you for coming to the Jacobs presentation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
How is it going, everyone? Thanks for joining the Upgrade University Summit. I hope you learned a lot from the presentations from both the cool universities that joined us, as well as from the Upgrade mentors who gave the workshops and masterclasses. It's a bit of Q&A time. If you have questions, write them down if you want me to answer them. Or if not, you can always email Andrada for extra questions, or you can sign up to one of our initial sessions where you can discuss whatever you have to ask with someone who's very experienced, who's exactly where you want to be in the future. But this was like a great 2 days for us. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you had a great time. And also email us if you have any feedback for what you want us to show more, things you want us to talk about more, any workshop ideas that you have, or ideas for who to invite. Those will help us create future great events. Until then, take care of yourself, enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Back by popular demand. I was literally shoved back in by our marketing team to answer the questions that have come after I've left the room. So, just to answer your questions, Maria, what extracurriculars would you recommend for studying computer science? most people I know that did really well in computer science applications used Coursera or edX to study computer science by themselves. So there's nothing better than showing that you know a programming language, and you can learn a programming language online easily these days. What I suggest is to go on edX.org, edx.org, and look for a course called CS50. It's developed by Harvard and it's for high school students, and it teaches you a lot of basic programming. So you should start with that, and then you can use also Khan Academy. And the most important thing would be for you to actually program a personal project. So try to make a website, you know, your website, try to make a blog, try to make a tool that helps you do something that you want to do in daily life, like, you know, schedule meetings or something like that. So that's what I would recommend for computer science, doing online courses and then programming your own project. Obviously, if you can do internships or boot camps, you know, like there boot camps that can show this, that's fine. Andre, what financing options do we have for Ireland? So for Ireland, although you can find all the information on the Trinity College, they're like pretty acceptable. I think it's around like 3 to 9K per year, so below 10K anyway, so it's pretty competitive rate. But for the exact amount for every course and university, you can check the university website. From Adam, I missed day one. Will the recordings be sent? Yes, the recordings will be sent by my colleagues as soon as they get it. Let me see. How many hours should I study to get into a good uni? Look, I think you should study as much as possible. It's always good. I mean, it is like it's very difficult to say, I would say. I think it's important to study as much as you need to get those prerequisites. Some people study a lot, some people study less. It also matters how much you've studied so far. If you've done a really good job until now, then you don't have to do much. But if you've not done very much until now, then you should probably study more. So it's all a question about hitting the goals, not about how much time you study. But obviously you're expected to do your best and study a lot to get to a top score. Someone asks, is Harvard a good uni? Haven't heard of it. That's nice. Some say it's good. Do I need a grind set to get into upgrade? That's amazing. No, I think you can get into Harvard. I think you can get into Harvard even without the grind set, although being different is important, and being on the grind set makes you different, I guess. Do MUNs help on an application if I want to study law, and more specifically international law? MUNs help a lot for law and international law. MUNs, UIP, any political group, anywhere where you have to debate and craft legislation or anything like that is a great thing. So MUNs, UIP, debating are all great prerequisites for law. Do you need to, from Adam, do you need to pay for edX and Coursera? No, most of them are free. I think you only need to pay if you want to get a certification from them that you finished the course. Jacobs offers psychology. I think you can see that from their website. I'm not particularly sure. I know Jacobs is really good for science, engineering, things like that. They might do psychology, but I'm not sure. Check their website. Get used to like looking things up online. From Cosmin, do you think it's a good idea to get a job while you're in college to support your accommodation? Definitely a great idea to get the job, as long as you can, you know, that you're allowed to, because some systems don't allow you to get jobs while you study. But you have to be mindful because you're in university to study. So it's actually sometimes could be better to get a loan so you can focus on your studies, because if you do well in school, then, you know, you could actually pay back your loan and be much better off than if you split the focus between working and studying. What universities would you recommend for studying international law and human rights in Europe? So I think there are universities in Netherlands, but I don't remember which ones exactly had international law. But I think it's one of like Maastricht, Utrecht. I think one of those, maybe check UPA and Erasmus. Those are all great universities in Holland that have international law. So check those. If I study international in a certain country, am I bound by that country and those laws, or can I leave and get a job somewhere else? From Bianca. If you do international law, it matters if you want to be qualified as like a barrister or attorney, or if you work within an organization. If you work within an organization like I don't know, like World Bank or something like that, then you can move around. But if you want to be a real lawyer, like a lawyer, then you're like very dependent on the system where you studied, because you have to get the bar exam, and the bar exam is really tied to the country that you are in. What are your recommendations for any uni summer schools for high school students deciding to get the Bocconi summer school? I think it's really important to try to attend the summer school if you're targeting a certain university. So if you want to go to Bocconi, it's probably a good idea to do the Bocconi summer school. If you want to go to Harvard, it's probably a good idea to do the Harvard summer school. I think Yale has a really good summer school. Stanford has a really good summer school. It's very important to check that the summer school is competitive. So if you're getting into a competitive program where there's an application process and an admission, that's a good sign. And second of all, it's really important to see if there are scholarships. So if there are scholarships, merit-based scholarships, then you know the program is trying to recruit the best students. So you should try for every university that you're interested in, try to see if they have a summer program. And if they do, you should check that the program is selective and that they have scholarships. That's how you know it's like a solid program for summer school. What universities would you recommend for computer science? So for computer science, there are two great universities in the Netherlands, Delft and Eindhoven. Then there's Bocconi, which has a really cool program in artificial intelligence. If you want to do more AI, that kind of stuff, you know, machine learning. And then there's École Polytechnique that has like math and computer science. It's very academic in Paris, in France. So those are like really good programs, plus the ones in the UK, like Cambridge, Oxford, you know, Southampton, Bristol, Imperial, Manchester, you know, those are all incredible programs in CS. Would you recommend studying in the US if I'm from like an international country? Of course, I think the US is the most friendly. You know, if you're like a top student, the US is very friendly with their need-based financial aid. So I recommend that everyone, you know, try to apply. I think it's a really cool system where you can study a lot of things. So definitely study one of those things. What else? How many mentors do we have? So at Upgrade, we have over 100 mentors. They're all over the world. So that's something really cool, that no matter where you are in the world, we can pair you with someone anywhere else. So you can work with mentors from the US or from the UK or from like Germany, Holland, Georgia. We have like Egypt. So we have mentors all over the place. And so it's really cool for you to meet people from different areas. I think that's something very cool. And we have mentors that are exactly that. We try to match mentors with people that have very similar profiles with them. So if you have done, you know, MUN and are studying international law, we'll try to find someone who also did MUNs in high schools and is doing international law, so that you can really relate to them and you know, gain the most from the interaction with them. Cosmin, does the country you study in matter, or just the university by itself? I think the university generally matters. If it's a good university, you get surrounded by smart people, which is always very good for your development. But the country also matters because it's much easier to stay in the country that you study in. So if you study in the UK, it's going to be much easier to remain in the UK. It's going to be difficult if you study in, for example, in Netherlands, to move to the UK, because you just won't know anyone. You won't have connections for recruiting, you know, because when you're finishing like university, a lot of the times universities come on campus to recruit. So, you know, say a company in Holland may come on campus to recruit, so you can stay there easily. But if you try to go to another country, you just have to apply the regular way, just cold turkey, you know, send emails to companies, and that's a much more difficult way to get a job. Is it possible for sports results to help you be admitted to a medical school? Usually from Alina, sports results are usually a good thing in the US. So if you're trying to get a scholarship to go to the US, sports results help a lot. But other than that, in Europe, experience with medicine is what helps you the most. So just shadowing doctors in hospitals, you know, doing all sorts of activities around that, reading books about medicine, you know, taking some courses, intro courses to medicine or physiology, or just doing extra work in biology, all of the subjects that are interesting for medicine. So not as much with the sports, unless you're talking about the US that really tries to select people for all of their qualities. Let's see. So does the Upgrade University help you find opportunities for volunteering suited for the major you want to apply for? Yeah, we have. So at Upgrade, we have an extracurricular development program where it has two components. One is that we tell you about all of the opportunities that you can do to develop extracurricularly. And second, we help you build your own project if you want to. So the building your own project is for very determined individuals, obviously, because there's a lot of work. But we can help you build the project that you want. And we can also tell you about all the opportunities we know about where you can expand your extracurricular experience. It's called ECL if you talk to us. Adam, do your chances of getting into a university decrease much if you don't go to a summer school? No, I wouldn't say so. I think summer school is more for you to know what that school is like. I don't think it impacts admission standards as much. Adam, how can mentors help? So mentors can help in a wide variety of ways. So first of all, mentors will help you understand what school is the best one for you. Then once you pick the school, if you have a mentor that's in that system, you know, say you want to apply to the US and you have a mentor that's at UPenn, they can give you inside information from what it's like to be at that university, the courses they take, the programs they have, the professors, what other students are like, what the other students did in high school, right? You have like an inside person inside the university that you want to attend to tell you what it's like, right? So that's very valuable. The third way is that these people will help you with everything that they've done in high school. So you can ask them questions about what they've done extracurricularly. You can ask them questions about books to read or courses to do, right? These are people that you know, are 3 years ahead of you, so you can ask them what they've done to get to where you want to get. So you can ask them anything. So outside of just the admission requirements that you're going to talk to them, like SAT prep or academic prep or anything like that, you can actually ask them anything whatsoever. That's why we call them mentors. Does every student who gets in uses admission counseling? Recently, there's been a trend of using admission counseling. So usually, before, 10 years ago, around 30% of students were using admission counseling, and today is like 78% of students from our data. So most students use admission counseling. So that means they have an edge, which is why, it's important for you to use it, because if not, you might lose that edge that might get you in. So because everyone else is using it, and because competition is very high, then you actually, I could say, you actually need to use a service to stand a good chance for a top university these days. Andre, do you think it's late to start the application now for US universities to start this autumn? You cannot do that now, unfortunately, Andre. You can defer because the admission season is over. The deadline was the 1st of January. So if you apply now this year, you can only start next year in the fall, which you can do if you want. Some questions about Harvard scholarships. So I got the full ride scholarship to Harvard. If you want to compute what the scholarship would look like for you, just go on Google and search Harvard financial aid calculator, and you will have a calculator where you put some family data, and it will show you how much you're expected to contribute and how much will be a scholarship. What unknown colleges would you apply yourself now? There are a lot of like really cool schools that people know less about. So I'd apply to like Amherst, Williams, which are pretty well known. If I were a girl, I'd definitely apply to Wellesley, Barnard, and Smith. These are girl only colleges, and because of that, they have higher admission rates. So and they're like perfect, like tremendous schools. So I would like apply to them for sure. If you go to Barnard, you actually study at Columbia. So those are also really good colleges. I would look at Colgate, which is really nice. Richmond, which has merit-based scholarship. You know, Macalester. You know, there are all these colleges. Middlebury, Bates, Skidmore. Those are like all colleges that I know offer like great financial aid packages, and they have like great programs. For example, another one is Harvey Mudd. Harvey Mudd is a college that has tremendous possibilities for graduation. So the average salary post-graduating is around 90K to 100K because it's close to Silicon Valley and a lot of people do engineering. And it's a college that's very good at math and computer science. So there are a lot of colleges that I would recommend that are not as well known. Do you need to pay to talk to a mentor for Adam? No, the consultation is free. You just need to sign up. So I suggest that you do that. What are your thoughts on taking a gap year? I think taking gap year is amazing, as long as you do something productive. So I wouldn't take a gap year to do fun things. You know, you could do some of it, you know, do some traveling, do some relaxing, but I would only take a gap year to do something like if you travel, try to work as you travel, or try to write a piece of research or write a book, or like do something productive, you know, because there is a certain pace, you know, as you work towards something, you get into a rhythm of work. And if you take a whole year without doing anything productive, it's going to be much more difficult for you to get back at it. So I strongly suggest that you continue to do some type of work. Do you need to pay it? Okay, Cosmin, I know there are some European programs that help you get a double degree when the country you are from and when the country you study in, also compensating tuition fees. Yeah. Yeah, I love those programs, Cosmin. So yeah, there are a lot of universities that have partnerships with universities abroad. So you do like two or 3 years in that country and 1 year abroad. I know you talk about public universities, but even private universities do have that. So Bocconi, for example, has partnerships with schools like MIT and other schools. Delft and University in the Netherlands have partnerships. In the UK, Manchester and so on has partnerships with schools in the US. I think that's a great thing. I would do it as an extra year. For me, you also need to have continuity to your studies in order to achieve performance. So, you know what I mean? I would think about the year abroad more like a separate thing. You know, I wouldn't sacrifice 1 year of like true university studies for going abroad because you kind of break the rhythm. You know what I mean? So I would make sure that, you know, you have the 3 years that are required for your degree in one place. And then if there's like 1 year where you travel, I'd consider that a sort of like experience on top. But make sure it doesn't, you know, fracture your like rhythm of studying and so on. Can I choose if I want to talk to a Romanian mentor? Yes, sure. You can, you know, wherever you're from, we have mentors, you know, in Romania, we have British mentors, Czech mentors, Bulgarian mentors, you know, French and German mentors. So you can choose, you can ask for a specific nationality if it's more comfortable for you or your family. So you can talk to us in any language. If you're from a specific country, we probably have people you can talk to in that language. Where are your mentors from? So as I said, we have mentors from all over the world, but most of our mentors are from the US, from the UK, from the Netherlands, France, Germany, Romania, Georgia, the Czech Republic, and that's pretty much it. Can I become a mentor? Of course, like if you're doing well, if you're like in a top university right now or graduating from a top university, please get in touch and you can become a mentor with us. Where do you have more info about Upgrade and applying to university? You can go on our website and find a lot of information about all of the steps to applying to all of the different countries and a lot of testimonials and what our previous students say. You can also check our Instagram account where we post regularly a lot of information about the admission process, and make sure to check out all of our events where we try to offer a lot of value regarding the admission process. Roberto, what are your thoughts about ETH Zurich? Is it a good university? It's a splendid university. It's an amazing university, Roberto. The only thing is we focus on universities with with English programs, and ETH, for like the last time I checked, had its program. You had to know German, I think. You know, some of the courses were in English, but some were in German. So they didn't have a full English program, and we're concerned exclusively with English language programs. Do you have a platform? Yeah, so if you work with Upgrade, what's really cool is you get to work with a mentor, but you also get access to our platform, which is called Agora, where you have a lot of digital content, so digital lessons to supplement your work with the mentor. So, you know, for example, if you were to choose schools, you would have a lot of like clips and digital lessons about how to pick your ideal school, and then you would meet with the mentor to get even more insights that are particular to you. But to make the most out of the one-on-one time, we also give you all of this supplemental digital content. Cosmin, are there any countries that would be better to study in or that you know have good scholarships or more students opportunities? Great scholarships that I know, like the US has the best scholarships, but it's also the most competitive. So that's like the top choice for scholarships. Bocconi has great scholarships. In the Netherlands, you don't really get scholarships. The UK is not that much. So I would say it's usually private universities, you know, like Jacobs, Bremen, Bocconi, or the universities in the US that have the best scholarships where you can actually attend for free if you need financial aid. But they're also the most competitive, so it's like the hardest to get. Can you work, with mentors from the office? Not so much. All of our learning is done via our platform, Agora Online. Tudor, the Harvard calculator mentions term time work. What is that? So term time work is the amount of work that you do on campus. So you know, they usually, the way they look at how much you have to pay is like, this is how much your family can contribute, this is how much scholarship they can give you, and you also are expected to work for some of the money. So for example, for $2,500 you should work on campus. That means having a campus job. For example, being an Upgrade mentor constitutes a campus job, so you can teach other students. It's probably one of the best campus jobs available. Andrea, a few recommendations for extracurricular activities that matter the most for universities. Yeah, so I would say organizing an MUN, being a chair or having any leadership position in a group, especially for, like Interact or, your school's governing body or the national student government. All of those leadership positions are really good. Then I would say the European Youth Parliament, you should check it out. It's a really cool organization. What else I would say? Organizing TEDx and TED-Ed, anything with TED, if you can speak there, or if you can organize one, or TED Education, which is like you helping other people launch their projects. That's really cool. Doing internships, especially if they're like selective, or shadowing a person, doing some work experience, even real work experience, like working for McDonald's or something like that. It doesn't have to be like super duper complex, but having a real work experience, that paid work, is considered very good because it teaches you the value of money. So any of those are good. Because is France a good country to study in? Yes, absolutely. And Sciences Po is an amazing school. You asked about, lots of so you asked about like scholarships and so on. Sciences Po also has a very cool a very cool scholarship program, sorry, where they look at how much money you need, and you know, they give you like, you know, enough money to be able to attend. So they have a very good scholarship program as well. What do you think of the Netherlands for undergraduate degree? It's definitely a really good place. So the Netherlands is awesome because it's in the European Union. So your studies are subsidized. So instead of the 9,000 euro fee that usually international students pay, you only pay 1,000 in the first year and 2,000 in the subsequent years. So it's a really good place to go. And University of Amsterdam and Rotterdam are like amazing schools. Both have also the liberal arts program. So they're like really cool to study. Where can we follow you? So you can follow us online or on Instagram at Upgrade Education, or that's pretty much it. I think those are all the questions. Thanks so much for being with us. If you have any other questions, feel free to send them to Andrada. But most importantly, I think you should sign up for one of the consultations with one of our mentors. We can show you, we can answer all of your personal questions, and we can show you what we can do together. So thanks so much for joining us today. Stay tuned for future events, and if you have any other questions, shoot them to Andrada. Bye.